3, 2, 1. It's not 2 o'clock, but it is Sunday. We're a little bit early, it's like 4 minutes as per usual. Gives you the chance to all settle in and take it easy. Maybe take in the scene around you, see what you can find. We are indeed in high definition. We are also in a new background, as you can see here. Brand new background. Lots of stuff to look at around the edge. All the things to see and do. All little toys and books and whatever else you can see in the background of that, because I've been trying to upgrade everything step by step and trying to upgrade the stuff that matters first. And the stuff that mattered was audio and visuals. They're the kind of two things. Particularly audio was the thing I was after, which I think I have conquered now. We've soundproofed the area here so I can make less echo sounds off it, although I'm still getting a little reflection sound from my right side here, so I might have to kind of block off these doors. But at the moment, it's working perfectly well. So hopefully you can all hear me perfectly and everything's going well. Leave a comment there in the messages to make sure that I can be heard and everything's going fine. Still waiting for everybody to settle in. We'll chill out and relax and take it easy. Yeah, we're doing well. Dara says it's a good picture. But is there good audio? I've also been playing around on Twitch this morning to do live streams of video games. I actually nailed it this morning. Did well. Nobody watched. It was a private stream. Just had it that way. So I will be probably appearing on stream at Twitch at some point as well. Just for the hell of it. I love video games. Absolutely adore video games. So video games has made my whole life from about age... No, even younger, I'd say. In primary school, I used to go to the Bonbon in Kildare Town. And we used to play whatever video games he had in. He used to have a whole video arcade in the back of a chip shop. And we'd sit in the back and play Spy Hunter or, all that sort of stuff. So my whole life, basically, I grew up around video games. I can remember the very first Pac-Man ever appearing anywhere. So it was pretty nice. Today is a beautiful day out there. Not as warm as yesterday, I don't think. It is warm, but it's not quite as warm as yesterday. Yesterday was roasting. It was so hot we had a barbecue yesterday. I've not done basically anything this morning other than sit here and arrange this background, set up stuff on my YouTube channel, things that are going to happen in the near future. Like I said, we're upgrading. Every week something new happens on the channel, so next week we're going to do something else new. I'm not going to tell you what that is yet. The other night, if you were along for the Zoom chat, it was absolutely brilliant. We had a pub quiz on Zoom with the guys who are on Patreon, PayPal, Super Chat. Any of those means that you've managed to support the channel at any point, send me an email. If you support the channel at some point and it checks out, I will immediately invite you to the next pub quiz that we have. But in the house, Robert Doyle was very early, actually an hour early. Robert Doyle says, "Hi gang, hope you're all well. Just sitting in the window trying to get suntan while watching the Sunday service. God, the weather's been nice lately. It really has been lovely. There's a breeze there that's gorgeous. If anyone's been watching or interested, even remotely interested in space, you'll be watching SpaceX and their Dragon spacecraft trying to get to the ISS. Saw it last night, saw the ISS pass by, didn't see the Dragon thing pass by. They pass over Ireland quite regularly, but during takeoff, and anything to do with Florida, when they take off on a space shuttle, Shannon Airport was specifically built and designed by NASA to be able to land a space shuttle if things went wrong. So in an abort situation, Shannon Airport was designed there. That's why the airport or runway is just so big. It's gigantic. So you get there. Donald Shaughnessy is here as well. Hi Bob, looking forward to tuning in today. Really enjoy hearing the views and opinions. Yeah, it is here. Robert Van Sant, boycott Chinese product, buy Irish. Remember the 1980s. We should be buying Irish anyway. We should always be buying Irish wherever we possibly can. The unfortunate bit is we've lost most of our manufacturing capability in this country. We're actually crap at it now. We don't really manufacture things. And I don't mean assemble things. That's different. We can assemble stuff. We have factory plants that assemble lines of things, but that's it. We don't have people who actually manufacture brand new goods. And you hear it on shows like Dragon's Den and all those kind of shows where they come on and the first thing they say is, wow, that's cool. Why don't you get it built in China? It's the first thing out of their mouths. Like, why don't you get it? It's so cheap to build out in China. You build it out there. I actually got a mobile phone company, Chinese mobile phone company, the other day emailed me to see when I start taking phones for reviews. No. I do cars. I don't want to get confused with... Jeez, can you imagine doing phones as well? How's the new studio, Bob? Says Andy McAfee is in the house as well. As you can see, it is glorious. Our Sunday service... If anybody knows where to get an electrically powered one of them things, let me know, will you? They all seem to be battery powered, and they don't eat batteries or anything, but I hate battery. I hate things you can't recharge or do something with. I prefer something that has a rechargeable battery. And then we have loads of little gadgets and doodads around the back here as well. If you spot something you like the look of, let me know and I'll explain where it came from. Some of the things have stories, other things don't. 2 pictures up here behind me, which is Mad Max and Blade Runner. They will change over time. Also have The Great Escape is here too, as you can see as well. There's that one. So I've loads of pictures and things to go up. Loads of stuff to go up in the background of this. So a proper studio now. Operator Hoos, good afternoon, Bob and chat. I assume the Gardaí are monitoring this. For what? For what? Why would the Gardaí monitor this one? New studio. I don't know why they would Operator Hoos. I don't know why, but we've had a lot of stuff happening in the car industry over the last while, which has been very, very odd in fairness to them. I don't know what a lot of them are thinking about. Renault dumped 15,000 employees worldwide and have reduced their manufacturing ability, so they're going to produce less cars. That's a big step. That's 15,000 jobs that are very hard to replace, because it's not like you can go from one car company to the other car company and, get your job back around. It's not that straightforward. There's a lot of stuff that goes on to get you from one place to the other. Sorry, I should be opening the live version. Copy that. And I'm going to open it here in another window so I can see what's going on. I don't want audio, but it's there. That's alright. It seems to be the same as last week. The live stream window that I look at is frozen. It just freezes after a minute or two. It doesn't tell me how many people are actually watching at all. It doesn't even show me half the bleeding questions. So there. From the Sunday service community, I noticed this morning Autocar has put out a story, but Skoda has put out the story as well. They are axing this Karoq Scout, the Kodiaq Scout, Kamac diesel are all gone. Now, I would suggest that that's not the worst thing that could have possibly happened. Because we're still keeping the Kodiaq but not the Scout version of it. We're keeping the Kamac petrol but not the diesel version of it, and the Karoq Scout is disappearing. That really wasn't a seller for them anyway, so it's hard to justify holding on to them when they don't sell. Like most car companies, they produce a plethora of cars, and then whatever doesn't sell they just quietly get rid of, slowly but surely. So I wouldn't say it's the worst thing that could happen. They're not the worst looking cars though either, so I have to be aware of that one, that it wasn't the worst ones to go. Annie McAfee points out that the Garda Síochána, which is our Irish police force, I won't say force, our Irish police, they don't work as a force here, so they're not quite as, like you look at the American police force where they beat people into submission or shoot them because they're black. That it just doesn't make any sense. That wouldn't happen here. That stuff just doesn't go on here. We don't have that same problem here. We're not a force here. We do enforce the laws and enforce the rules, but it's not treated the same way. So I have a great time for our Garda here in this country, because they do the toughest jobs in this country. I'd say one of the toughest jobs in the world. They're not armed. They wander in, they don't even have a helmet or riot gear or nothing. They've got a little stick in their pocket, and that's about the best that they've got. And they walk into some of the most dangerous situations in the world and they deal with it in a professional manner. They do their absolute utmost. And all I ever want from guards, of course, is, you make that phone call, that 999 phone call, and you see the blue lights coming over the hill. But yet people complain about them. They give out, the guards are terrible. But you know what? In an emergency situation, you just want them to appear, please. Anyway, moving on. Dermot Walsh, hi all. Paul Collins says, good afternoon. Oh my God, we're already scrolling ahead. Don't worry, I'll keep up with you today. I will. It's like, it's like I have to try today. Paul Collins says, good afternoon everybody. Hopefully you're all enjoying the good weather. I am. It's out there. I was this morning. Actually, I was editing up the podcast and stuff off this that went out this morning on Podbean. That'll be on your Apple and Spotify in the afternoon at some stage. So there's a little bit of kind of to and fro to get stuff in there. It takes a while for the feed to run out to the different sources. So this afternoon at some point, open up Apple Podcasts. It'll download the Sunday service from last week. Obviously, if you're watching live, it doesn't really matter. You've probably seen it already. Scott Middlehurst is here. Good afternoon, Bob. Hope all they are. Everybody is well and happy. Dara Joyce. Great quality picture, Bob. 1080p I brought. 1080p high definition. Look at my face. Isn't it horrible? Who wanted to be in 1080p? But I am now. That thanks to Curago, who has provided this stream so we can do this, the various parts of Zoom all tricked together and pushed out, and I can actually do this wild stuff now. If you want to do what I do and broadcast to thousands, or even run it through a small business that has over 10 employees, then you need to get in touch with Kuga, the Zoom specialist for Ireland. There's a link in the comments down below. I have a feeling that may have been loud. It's just a thought. Let me know in the comments if that was a bit loud. But it's there. Look, I can do that sort of thing. So sponsors are welcome, you know. We can do all kinds of messing around and playing about. But other ads will play throughout, because we do have people here who sponsor the show and look after the show the whole time. One of them is Kuga, where if you've got like 10 employees, you know, if you've got people who in your business or even work in the business who communicate quite regularly, anything over 10 employees, and Kuga will sort it out in such a way that you don't have to think about it. You just click go live, end of story, and it all works. It just does. And I'm proof positive. I have transmitted to thousands of people using their technology. And the other night it was, I don't know, what was there, 12 or 15 of us in a Zoom chat doing a pub quiz. So it's the same thing. Tom O'Connor says Mercedes officially unveiled a new S-Class on Instagram a few days ago. Looks okay, I guess. I don't think it does, to be honest with you. It's a bit challenging. Now, the S-Class has never really been a looker. They tend to make the S-Classes a little bit kind of down market looks on the outside, because it tends to sell to Russian oligarchs and sheikhs and things. Even they don't buy that. They buy Rolls Royces and stuff. So it tends to sell for that upper management. Some of the people who drive it have drivers, so they go after that market. It's never really been like top spec looking. Mark Arundel is here. Thank you, Mark. Andy McPhee says, is that a Supermarine in the background? It is, yes. She's a little dusty, but it is a Supermarine Spitfire, yes. It is. Built from an Airfix kit. My wife, pretty much every Christmas for the last few Christmases, has gotten me a Airfix kit, like a group of little things in a basket. So like a couple of craft beers, maybe a nice weird wine, an Airfix kit, maybe a Lego kit, something that would keep me occupied on Christmas Day. That's what she does pretty much every year, so it's good. Robert Dodds is all good. Audio, picture. Yeah, hi Bob, everything's fine. Good stuff. Looking good, sounding good. Audio's grand. Nice. Howdy Bob, reading you loud and clear and in HD. Come in. Over. Forza Horizon 4 is the best one. Haven't got around to the driving stuff because I need a steering wheel. I don't want to stream a driving thing while I'm using the keyboard and mouse, which I could do. Obviously you could, but it'd be pretty hard to do without a steering wheel of some sort. I do have a joystick for flying things, but I might do, I don't know what games Twitch likes. I'm not a big Twitch person, but I feel I want to play video games, and I do anyway. So I might as well be streaming the video game while I'm playing it. Like, it's no big deal, like between the two, is it? Mark Turner-Smith, who was with us the other night, Mark Turner-Smith has a Volkswagen Polo GTI. We were looking around it on his stream. He was streaming his car to us. Good afternoon all from Moto 6, a Zoom comedy. That's where we're all going, who's Moto 6? The Zoom call was called Moto 6. Didn't set up properly, long work shift and a bit slow to realise. Hope all is well and safe. We are. Peter Dolan, afternoon all, unreal weather, watching the garden, nice cold beer. That is the ultimate luxury today. Tomorrow is a bank holiday in Ireland. Not that that matters, because we're all still on lockdown, so people wouldn't really be going a whole lot of places anyway. But if you had any intention of going anywhere, tomorrow is probably a bad idea to go, because the guards would be out stopping everybody, asking where they're going. The Gardaí is the police force of Ireland. I always say that because a lot of people who watch this aren't from Ireland and won't have a clue what a guard is. Peter Dolan, afternoon all, unreal about now I did that one. Anthony Waring, hi Bob, where you were right about Renault. Told you. Totally swung the axe when it comes to job losses. They are struggling. I would suggest that Renault, Nissan, Mitsubishi, Dacia, they've all been kind of struggling. The whole French car market struggles. Citroën struggles to sell a bean outside of France. Renault struggles greatly, but has other brands in other countries, and a lot of kind of North Africa would know what a Renault is, you know, and they would sell. But the problem is we've got this crushing force coming down the economy right now, which is where the general population haven't got security going into the future. I mean, we've just lost Microsoft have just gotten rid of everybody who wrote for CNBC or whatever that thing is called. The first page you open when you open Edge browser. I don't know who uses Edge browser, but the first page you open goes to MSNBC or something it's called. All the journalists from that have been sacked and replaced with robots. Now that's happened a lot over the last few years in the sports in the US. They did a lot of that as well. It's the exact same thing. They got rid of a lot of the actual journalists and replaced them all with robots. So it's happening in all kinds of sectors. These are the people in the jobs who would have bought the cars. If they're not buying the cars, then the car companies aren't going to make the cars. Then they don't need a bigger workforce, and this kind of trickle uphill effect happens very quick. But yes, we did predict Renault was going to be doing cutbacks. Didn't quite think it was going to be 15,000 people, but Peugeot did that a few years ago. It was 36,500 people in France. Unemployment is quite high in France, particularly in the manufacturing sector. And as is in the title of this, you watch as the Chinese now are starting to move in there, starting to put out the press releases saying, you know, Chinese electric cars, we're investing billions, we're going here, we're doing this. This is what China does. They slowly but surely put things out. Much the same as that Xiaomi phone that I have right here is put out by a company who produce hundreds of models of phones, and they send them out to the market, they put them into places, and they put out every kind, they trouble that middle ground the whole time. And what they do is they claw away at Samsung sales, at Sony sales, at Apple sales, and they continue to just kind of claw away. That's how Chinese people, or how Chinese manufacturing and business take over the world, slowly but surely. Irish Foxhound is here. Good man. Lewin Briscoe says, yes, Bob, sent email but no invite, use PayPal to contribute each time. Did you? If you that's weird. If you'd have sent an email now, I definitely would have got it, because I went back through the emails several times, put out stuff on Facebook, I put out stuff on YouTube, put out stuff on Twitter, I put out a link everywhere I could possibly find to find anybody who was there. It's impossible with PayPal to look back through each of the emails. It just takes forever to go through each one, because it's not just go in and see a list of people who's ever donated any sort of money. It is literally go in one by one by one for the last, and obviously you missed one or two, which is why I put the link up everywhere. But it's bobflav@thenextgear.com. Send me an email anytime, and it's Bob Flav, not Bob Flavin. It cuts out the junk, by the way. Eric Watchard, sorry I had to jump off the quiz the other night, Bob. Work call, unfortunately, was the plan. It's alright, there'll be more, it's okay. Hellhound, hey up Bob, lovely day for it. Tis if you're outside. I could do this outside, but it'd be ridiculously hard to keep the wind noise down, would be the problem. Mick Mulcahy's here. Marcus Hogan, sorry Bob, late to the Sunday service, got carried away taking some close-up drone footage of the local dolphin here in Galway. Is that Fungi? Is Fungi still alive after 65,000 years sitting out there? As he normally is. My God, there's so many people watching right now. This is really good. It's really good for a sunny Sunday. It's good. If you're going to the beach, you're doing anything, please send me a picture. If you're going to the beach, I'd love to see the beach. I have not seen the beach in, I don't know, since last year or something. Absolutely ridiculous. Just checking my emails here, make sure I don't miss anybody on the way around. I did miss somebody already. We've already got donations coming in, and it's from Garrett Talbot. You're a genuinely nice guy. Thanks, Garrett. You're really good. I have to give another shout out, please. Another ad is going to run right now, and that is for our title sponsor, who has been here for weeks and weeks and weeks and supports this channel like nobody else. This video is proudly sponsored by Clearwater Technology, Ireland's market-leading water treatment chemical supplier. And there we are, back with an ad break. Isn't that nice? See, I don't even do ad breaks. It's like, I just have to give them a mention, though. Clearwater has been supporting this channel for a very, very long time. For the last couple of years, John and the guys on there, and they're going to open up a sort of a retail end of it as well. It's coming. Lots of plans happening as well with those guys, so look after them. There's a link in the comments down below to both of the businesses who support this channel. And of course, the guys on Zoom the other night are other supporters from Patreon and PayPal, which is links down below. Or you can use Super Chat if you want as well. Any of those means. Next week, I'm going to be releasing memberships here on this channel as well, which is YouTube's version of Patreon. But there'll be a lot more levels to it. There'll be a lot more bits you can get involved with. So I don't mind if everybody wants to move off Patreon onto memberships on YouTube or whatever way that works out, that's okay. But we're going to work on some cool stuff that I can do here on YouTube that I can't do because Patreon is out there and YouTube's over here, and you have to embed one into the other. It's much harder to do that way around. Anyway, don't forget to click the like button on your way in. Thanks very much. Jim Smith, hi, stay safe, watching from garden, lovely weather. God, let's be in the garden. Into a beer garden, that'd be lovely, wouldn't it? Oh. Right, get that thought out of your head. Oh, brother Hoot, sorry, winky face meant it was a joke. That's good. Zoom back up there. Marcus Hogan, sorry Bob, late. Oh, no, I didn't want to go back. Marcus Hogan, again, thanks, sorry. I've had a good few encounters with the guards recently. I found them to be nothing but pleasant and patient. Absolutely, 100%. Totally enjoy any interaction I get with the guards. Sometimes, a lot of guards do follow me on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook quietly, which is okay, to ask questions about cars. They're into cars. Most guards are kind of car heads. They like driving stuff. And so I get a lot of that. So big shout out to all the guards. Anytime I've had a problem in Ireland, any problems I've ever come across, any interaction I've ever had with guards have always been nice. So it's always been good. Peter Eucart is here. Hi Bob, love the Corolla video. Was that like a month ago? No, it was last week, wasn't it? No, it was this week. Make it worse. It feels like so. Every time I go, every morning I get up, something's changed. Something's happening I have to fix. Anyway, it's okay. Are we still on? We're still on perfectly, yes. Just, I'm checking my new setup now is quite, there's a lot of strings to the bow that makes this work here behind the scenes, by the way. James O'Hanlon, hi Bob, I'm looking at a BMW X5 2-litre S-Drive. Any advice on this model? The 2-litre savages fuel, really does. Good drive, it's a good drive. It's a lighter engine than the 3-litre version, so it handles quite nice, but it does eat fuel. It's a big car, heavy car, wide tyres. Tyres are also really expensive. Servicing on a BMW is very expensive as well, unless you do it yourself. And even when you do it yourself, like an oil filter for those can be really expensive. But the big thing to look out for is fuel economy in a 2-litre version of it. It is quite hard because it is a heavy car. It's heavier in a 3-litre, but you got a big turbo running behind that. It's a bigger engine. It's able to pull that a little bit better. But if you have the bank balance or you have the deeper pockets, then a BMW X5 is quite a statement when you're driving around place. It's a nice car. Great interior. Great. I love BMW interiors. Very nice. Mark Howells Prescott. Good afternoon, Bob. Hope you're well. Your family. Very hot in here in Churchester, Gloucestershire. Kind regards, Mark. It is very hot here as well. It was 26 degrees in my garden yesterday. Weird, my garden has fences, so I don't really get a lot of wind. So when the sun is on it, it's like being under a magnifying glass. It's like nearly too hot to be comfortable. Brian O'Donnell, hi Bob and gang. Hope you're well and safe. Lovely sunny day. It is a lovely sunny day, which is just perfect for me. I do like that. Lewin Briscoe, I just got your email there right now. That's the first time I've seen that one. Next one up, you'll get an invite for. Don't worry. Lee Moore, Bob, have you tried the Mercedes E300 diesel hybrid? The first version, not the plug-in hybrid. They do now starting to dip around a 10 grand mark. I did. They're very good. I have a great soft spot for E-Class, to be honest with you. It does no wrong, but it has this old man feeling about it, and people seem to think it's like an old man's car, and yet it does nothing wrong. I'd happily have an E-Class estate for the rest of my life. Okay. The diesel hybrid is fine. It is just a straight diesel hybrid. Peugeot was the only other one who brought out a proper, production diesel hybrid in the 5008. No, can't remember what it was called. I went to France into a lovely part of France for a drive of that. But the Mercedes E300 is a Mercedes E-Class with a 3-litre engine, a 300 engine underneath the bonnet, and it's connected up to a hybrid. It does no wrong. It's a lovely car. That's for Lee Moore. Just check my emails again. I'm sure we're all right. So no PayPal's coming in. Okay, so you can look after the channel if you want to. PayPal, Patreon, which is the other one as well, and Super Chat, which you can do too at any point of the stream. It's fine. Anne McCarthy, Bob, are you Anne McCarthy, the writer? I used to read science fiction books by Anne McCarthy. No, maybe that was Anne McCaffrey. No, could be wrong. Anyway, Anne McCarthy. Bob, have you any idea when Honda Jazz Hybrid coming to Ireland? Also, I was going to buy a second-hand hybrid car. What would you look out for? Okay, so Honda have been in trouble for a long time. And Honda Ireland will be a problem. That will be a problem that will come to them eventually, because it'll happen. So releases here have been quite slow, and that's a real problem for anyone who wants to get into the Honda realm. They make great cars, they're challenging to look at, they're very reliable, and the hybrid one I'm sure is going to be fine. And Jazz is cool. It's always overlooked as an old woman's car for some reason, not even an old man's, an old woman's car, and yet it's a good car. I would suggest we'll have no movement from Honda until 2021. Somewhere in December this year, going into January 21, you'll see more of the stuff coming out. If you're going to buy a second-hand hybrid, so you treat it as a normal car, almost always a second-hand hybrid is going to be a petrol car. Treat it as a normal car, so look for normal things. Don't worry about the hybrid train for the moment. See that the petrol engine works properly, it sparks up nicely, the car doesn't start the minute you press the start button. That's what happens, it'll be totally silent. Press the accelerator, you'll get some noise out of the motor. Check the motor's okay, check your tyres are okay, and then have it plugged in and check the battery condition. Depends on the car. Most places will have a universal connector. You'll be able to go to any garage, bung them 50 quid, they'll plug it in and they'll give you the report off top of it. It usually works for me. But yeah, check to make sure that the battery's actually holding a charge. Really, the only thing that's going to go wrong with a hybrid or an electric will be the battery. There's so little movement in anything under the bonnet motor wise, you're not going to have a problem there. It'll be, if there's a problem, it'll be cells dying in the battery in the older ones. Newer ones not so much. James Wilson, Nissan cut 20,000 jobs. Correct, they closed the factory in Barcelona, which will cause the Spanish no end of upset. Barcelona is heavily reliant on the car industry. Seat's main plant is there, Nissan's main plant is there, there's racetracks and test areas all around the area, so it's a big blow in the Nissan range. They're pulling it all back into Sunderland in the UK, which is good for the UK, I think. I don't know if they're going to hire, like they're dumping 4,000 jobs in Spain, whether they're going to hire 4,000 people in the UK, I don't know. But that's a professional group. That's a group of people, again, from a profession that's going to die, that's not going to be around very long. So it's pretty hard. My hair is getting very long. It's starting to actually get down on my face now. Like, I'll have to fix that. Gary Mills, hi Bob, any thoughts on China in the near future taking a sizable chunk of the European auto business? Yes, they will. China, see, everything is pushing towards EV, right? So go with me on this. From the background of the forces, you've got certain people, individuals, who believe they're saying all the right things by enhancing the EV offering the whole time, by going, EV is the only way, we have to go electric, we have no choice, diesel is dead, petrol. This is the rhetoric that gets into people's minds as they listen to everything being said on the radio, on the television, the podcast, and they're all kind of in the background and stuff. The problem is, a lot of the tech, a lot of the precious metals, a lot of the lithium, a lot of the mining happens in China. So they're the main producers of stuff. Now, we do get stuff from the Congo and Africa and stuff, but not as much, not as well refined as China. I, on this Sunday service last year, told you that China built a battery manufacturing plant and did it in 6 months from a greenfield site. They just moved everybody out, they ploughed it over. 6 months later, there was a whole factory standing there right in front of them. So, and that's a clean room factory, so that can make really high quality product very, very cheaply. If that's the way China is going to run, you're going to find that within a few months' time, they're going to start releasing some of their brands here under someone else's brand name. So they might sell their stuff to Volkswagen, who'll put the batteries into their cars. It's an ID3, and then China will come out and go, that's our batteries in that car, and we've put those batteries into this car, which is called a Brilliance or a Dongfeng or something, right? Which is some of the names they've actually got. So this kind of stuff can definitely happen. John Coleman has donated by PayPal. Thank you very much, John Dolan. John Coleman, I have played the ad for Clearwater. That is the man from Clearwater. He's one of our kindest supporters and looks after this channel very well. But you can see where it's going to happen. This is what China doesn't invade other countries like physically. They buy into the country, so they buy up little bits of stuff, and then they bring their product, and then suddenly you're just buying Chinese stuff all the time, right? So I'm not saying that you've got any choice in this. You don't really have any choice, because this is outside Ireland. We're fed by outside Ireland influences, so it's pretty hard to figure out how we can do anything about it. But it's definitely something we need to think about, and surely in the future we need to think about that sort of stuff. And close that. That's good. Right. Anyway, Peter Ucar says the tires in a Corolla were ridiculous. They looked like rubber bands on the wheel. Yeah, they didn't quite fill the arch of the Corolla. I didn't really like that. Very loud in the cabin as well. You can see it's the latest review I did. Quite a loud cabin in the car, but I still have a very big soft spot for Corolla, particularly a Corolla Estate. I do like them. They're just nice to drive. I've owned 2 Corollas as well. That probably doesn't help. Oh yeah, I found some old pictures as well. Look, there's me up on a BMX. I don't know if I can get you to focus on that. Can I get it to focus on that? Yeah, I can. There we go. So there's me on a BMX Rally Super Tough many years ago. I'd say that's probably 1980 something. That's me in the background doing a wheelie there. It's 19. I'd say I'm 11 or 12 in that maybe. So it's probably about 1983. And as a challenge, a friend of mine said to me that he's a young man, and he said he's very embarrassed by how skinny he is, and he can't build any muscle or anything like that, and he's wondering what he could do about it, because I do fitness stuff. I don't build muscle, but I do fitness stuff. But just to reassure him that you can be skinny at very young age, here's me at 16. I am scrawny. Found out the other day, like total scrawn, trying to take the shine off it. So give it a shine there. There we go. So that's me scrawny at 16, and now at my age I'm still scrawny. I'm not scrawny. I'm just fat now. That's it. So it's totally possible to be skinny and weird looking when you're very young and turn out okay in the end. It's alright. Anyway, McPhee says, I love the obligatory old monitors that surplus to requirements, which just can't be part of it on top shelf. It's a Samsung SyncMaster 930BF. Have you got binoculars on or something? It is actually a Samsung SyncMaster 930BF. I used to have 2 of them on my old editing rig. I had two Samsung SyncMaster standing one beside the other, so I could preview one and play the other. Now, of course, screens have gotten wider and bigger, and I don't need 2 screens anymore. But for Twitch, that might go back into service. You watch. I don't think I have there's no DVI port on the graphics card I have now. Anyway, yes, it is back there. Zdenko's here. Hi, Zdenko. Tom O'Connor. Bob, what would be the average job salary that a Range Rover series owner would have? You see, you can pick up cheap Range Rovers, but cheap Range Rovers are going to break. I mean, there's a reason why they're cheap. They're just going to collapse somewhere in some corner, and you'll never hear from it again. Range Rovers are brilliant. Fantastic cars. And if you've got the money, if you're earning that kind of salary that you can afford the payments on a Range Rover, you're going to need another 50% to afford the repairs that may be needed on a Range Rover if it's not under warranty. They're usually pretty good with warranty, but things that aren't warranted, like suspension, you're talking thousands in repair if suspension decides just to give up on you someday. I mean, the shock absorbers often aren't under warranty because they're a wearing out part. Depends how fast they go, mind you. But you'd need to have, I'd say if you're earning maybe 60, 70 grand a year, you'd be okay doing Range Rover level. Maybe. But if you got a Friday car, you could be banjaxed for the rest of your life trying to pay for the bloody thing. Garrett Talbot. Hi Bob, really enjoyed the pub quiz on Friday night. Thank you very much. Regards, Garrett, thank you. It was good to have you around the house. It was actually great to actually find out what people looked like. I read out everybody's names every week, but I don't know what you look like. Haven't a clue. Here's another supporter of the channel. Carmaca was also on the Zoom chat tonight. A couple of quid to replenish the bottle of red from Friday night. Yeah, we finished the bottle of red. It's really good. Mini Eggs. Hi Bob. Saw a thing with Mike Brewer saying he and Motor Trade are desperate for glasses, guides, etc. not to drop used price as they have stocks funded by borrowed money. A 5% drop would be bust. Well, you see, I'm a fan, and I know we always seem to go, let's bail them out. Let's bail out everybody. Let's bail out the airlines. Let's bail out things. But that's not how business is supposed to work. You go into business knowing that it's all on your shoulders. And you've got to trim your sails, or whatever phrase you want to use here. You got to cut your cloth to suit your measure, that sort of stuff, to make your profits and your losses acceptable, that you can take home some kind of wage, that you can pay your bills, pay your mortgage, feed your kids. That's what being in business is all about. And it doesn't matter if you're a sole trader like me, working away on your own, trying to pay your bills and trying to keep everything, all the little eggs in the air. And like, I run multiple things from here. I do so many different elements to this: filming, research, camera work, editing, titles, everything you see on screen is produced by me. Everything, every word I say comes out of my own brain. And that's because it's impossible to earn enough from this where I could relax and say, listen, let's just get a cameraman and forget about it, right? But a lot of these guys like Mike Brewer or, you know, whoever it is that grew up making TV, you see them now on a Zoom chat on Graham Norton, and it's grainy and it's crap and it's it's weird because they've never had to film anything themselves. It's not their element. But things have to change, and business has to continue making money. And it doesn't matter what's thrown at it. A good businessman or woman will make their way through that in the end. Whether they have to cut jobs like Renault's doing, or whether they have to close a whole factory like Nissan has done, whatever it takes, they make it through. And that's where, I know they're talking about donations for glasses and guides, whatever it is that they're looking for. But these guys have to pull themselves along. Mike Brewer has a range of garages across England. And those garages haven't been doing well for years. Sorry, Mike, I know I'm probably telling tales out of school here, but they haven't. They've been ticking over like any other dealership, but they haven't been really looking after themselves. They've been supported outside by other factors. And of course, Mike Brewer's name over the door is helping them. Darren Kavanagh. Bob, I was thinking about changing my car. Good man. If I was to replace my GTI Club Sport, I was thinking about replacing my Mercedes AMG A45S, or what would you recommend? The AMG A45 is great crack, but I actually think it's a little bit boring, kind of. It's not an AMG. You want a sort of a snarly thing behind you. When you hear the letters AMG, you want to be fired up the road like coming out of a catapult. And it's just kind of not. It's usable, so it's very comparable to a GTI Golf, power-wise and things, but it's not really something you would be incredibly excited to drive, and it's a little bit plain on the outside. Now, if you want to hang on for a bit, there's a Golf GTI on the way, but I'm not too sure about the look of that. We haven't driven it. There is certainly any of the Audi RSs would be ones that I would definitely go for still. An Audi A3, the RS version of that's a lovely car. Peter Dolan has submitted money by Super Chat. Thank you. A few quid for the cold one, Bob. Great work, and took your advice on the Xiaomi Air Dots on real Yorkshire money. I have those as well. Little Air Dots. They are chargeable in a little packet. You put them into your ears. They hook up to your phone. They're waterproof. The audio is very good. They never fall out. They're completely little dot things in your ears. And I use them for running. They're deadly. And they're $20, I think 16 or $20. Gear Best. I don't have a link. I'm not an affiliate or anything like that. Gear Best is where I found them, but they're available all over the place now. Xiaomi, XOMAI or something is the name of the company. So your A45 is lovely, but I would really test drive that car because it's a weird one. I'm not sure whether it's a kind of car that you could ever grow to love like you would with a GTI Golf, or a Polo GTI, or one of those kind of older GTI cars that I think you end up being like a pet that you mind and polish and clean and give it a name and things. You know. Tony Saber, can you mix run flat tires with normal tires in the same car? No, don't do that. Run flat tires behave differently than normal tires. They actually provide less grip in a kind of a weird way. And in some corners they don't. So the sidewall on a run flat tire doesn't flex as much as the sidewall on a normal tire, which is why run flats are slightly louder. They give a slightly harsher ride, but when you get a flat tire, nothing happens. It all just trucks on as if it never happened in the first place. Whereas with normal tires, they go flat and you get a horrible noise. But don't mix them. It can be very expensive if it goes wrong, or you get a flat on the tire that isn't run flat, and it can be messy. It's like mixing all kinds of tires together. Irish Foxhouse is playing Farming Simulator 19 while listening. I have that somewhere here. But it's not 19 I only have. I have an older one. Hold on. I should try and keep that open. It's a shame it doesn't stay open so I can see it when it comes up. So I can have the screen running here, a screen running there, and see who's doing what. Dace Team, DASETEAM. Thank you very much for submitting money by PayPal. You're very good. Thank you. Garrett Hussey, how are you, Bob? Thanks. How are you? Hooked on to it. Irish Fox Sound. Michael Doherty, does a subscriber watching the ads on your YouTube videos help your revenue, and do you have the say in what the ads are played? The YouTube ads that YouTube plays is based upon your viewing, right? I've no say there whatsoever. They tend to be motor related in some way. At the moment, they're get rich quick schemes is all I keep seeing. Some young guy coming out, you got $100,000, you give it to me and I'll tell you how to spend it. And some other guy who wants me to sign up to something else is the other one. But most of the time they're car related. I've no control over what the ad is. I have some control over how many ads play. But if I put on, I've no control over like the first ads you see, so the pre-rolls they're called. I've no control over how many of them show. So it could be 2, it could be 1, it could be one that's like 5 seconds and one that's 2 minutes. I've no control over that. It's just mid-roll or post-roll or whatever. But they do help the revenue for sure. I get a cut of every ad you watch based upon watch time. So if you have a 10-minute video, you watch one ad, you watch the whole 10 minutes, you watch another ad, that can be just one individual person can be the difference between getting maybe $10 and getting $50 and that comes entirely from the advertising. So it's totally no cost to you and totally no cost to YouTube. It's already been paid by the advertiser. So it's definitely a benefit for all YouTubers that the ads are there and you actually watch them. I know that sounds like a pain in the ass, but I watch ads on other YouTubers' channels as well in the hope that they get some money out of it. But like if you can't afford, honest to God, if you can't afford PayPal, Patreon or whatever it is, don't do it. It's just not worth it. Don't worry about it. Look after yourselves first. But if you can't afford it, it's great. But if you can't afford it, then turn on the ads on the channel. Then that's totally no cost to you. Hit the subscribe, hit the bell icon, turn on the notifications. All that stuff makes you an interactive person, and YouTube gives me more money for that. And believe me, it's very, very, very hard to make a living on just YouTube income. Very hard. I am like less than 2,000 subscribers off 50,000 now, and it's still like a knife edge every month. Tony S says, Bob, if you're trying to buy a car with a trade-in, do you insist on cash balance with the trade to pay, including options? You only ever talk about the cost to trade. The cost to trade is the price of the car they're going to pay for your trade-in versus the price that the car is actually worth that you're buying, right? So if your car is worth 10 grand and the car is on sale for 20 grand, the only thing you want to talk about from this moment onwards is the 10 grand and the difference between the two of those. If you want to negotiate, you go, well, I'm only willing to give you 7 with that, right? So now we're not talking about how much money you're giving me for the trade-in or how much that's costing me. He'll have to work out a discount between the two of them. And dealers hate me talking about this because every time I do, they lose money. All you want to talk about is the difference between the cost of your trade-in and the cost of the actual retail price of the car. Other than that, not interested. So as a proper example, you're buying a car and it's 30 grand. You're trading in your car and he's giving you 20 grand, right? You don't say, I want 22 grand for my car. No, because that's easy. I can make that happen. I can make that figure. I can figure it. 1,500 less. And then suddenly the deal is done. There is a 10 grand gulf between the two. You say, I want to pay 7 between the two. Then it doesn't matter. Then it's up to the dealership to work it out. So only ever talk about the cost of trade between the two cars, not about how much he's giving you for your trade. He's only giving me 10 grand for me trading. Nope, not interested. That's not the way it works. Corrigeen 71. How did you get into car journalism? What was your first job after school? After school, I left school at 15, walked out, hated it, no interest in school. It was moving too slow for me, I think, actually, when I think back to it now, but I hated it. My first job was delivering post for what was called SDS at the time, Special Delivery Service. It was on post at night time. We used to pick it up in a truck in Connolly Station. We drive all the way to Boyle in County Roscommon, dropping special deliveries all over the country, various different post offices. I was with a man called Ray Snowden in Kildare Town. That was my first job. It was £15 a night. Was it £15 a night or £15 a week? I don't remember. It was £15 a night. Maybe it's £15 a week. I did it for 3 nights a week. That was the first thing. But the journalism end of it, I always had an interest in cars since I was tinchy. I used to have a massive car collection of toy cars, mad into cars. Then I got into a bit of writing. I liked kind of creative writing. I did a bit of acting over time. Like I have pictures here, old pictures here of me acting in plays and stuff. There's me in, I don't know what year that is. It's a movie or a play called Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. That's a girl called Monica. She played my wife in it. That's a fella called Colin over there. He was playing the other character as well. There's a girl there called Shelley's in it as well. But I did a bit of acting, did a bit of writing with them as well. Then I started to write stuff, and then I was asked to write manuals for brochures and things in dealerships. And I did a bit of that for a while, and then I started to do car reviews. Car reviews came about 10 years ago. I made the nextgear.com, which is actually called smokerspack.com when I started first, as was this channel. And I started reviewing used cars in dealerships, was the first thing. And then car companies came and went, oh, this reviewing car stuff, this looks good. So they started giving me cars. I haven't looked back since, to be honest with you. John Carney, loving the new studio, Bob. Yeah, the new studio. Some of you new people would have never seen this before, but this is the new area for my studio work of putting together the Sunday service and doing all the usual stuff. It does require, my wife even thinks that I just come in and sit down and start talking, but I don't, you know. I actually look up some stuff before I start, just to make sure there's a bit of content there before you go. Like, otherwise, you know, when there's nobody on, it can be an awful pain in the hole. Anyway, Niall McHugh, I bought a PS4 controller and used an emulator to make the PC think it's an Xbox controller. Hell of a lot cheaper. Was brilliant crack for Forza Horizon. Yeah, because you can use an Xbox controller on a PC, can't you? Oh, there's cogs just started going diggity. That'd be pretty good, actually. I'd like that. Mark Turner Smith, agree with driving simulator games have to be with a steering wheel. Anything else far too difficult. It is kind of, because it's all about how much pressure you put on in the steering as to how much you're going to steer. If you use the keyboard, like A and D, it's like maximum turn. It's great. It's great. I love driving simulators. They're brilliant, but I prefer actual driving cars. What's funny is when I go into a driving simulator thing and I've already actually driven the car. That's cool. Or when I go to Tesco's at Christmas time and they've got models of cars you can buy and I've already driven it. And that's kind of cool. I like that. It's just a funny little thing in my head going, I've actually driven that car. Jason Cove. JP O'Rourke says, hi Bob, collected my new Mazda 3 Skyactiv X this week, ordered in December pre-COVID, arrived March, week of lockdown. Dealer couldn't give it to me until he reopened. Great car, long wait. Yeah, it's been a while. Listen, the dealer can do nothing for you, obviously. If it's closed, it's closed. They can't do anything about it, but congratulations. Good choice of car. I like Mazda 3. Mazda do good cars. They just interfere with each other sometimes. They go, no, it has to be sporty, and someone else goes, no, it has to be comfortable. They just kind of get it wrong. But Mazda 3 has been one of the right ones for a long time. They've done a really good job on that. The Butcher IRL, hi Bob. He's an actual butcher, by the way. That's not butcher in real life. That's an actual butcher. Hi Bob, sorry I had to run off on Friday. Was out till 11:45 p.m. Tree on fire. Was so he's also a fireman. Was no acceptable. I seen the pictures. If you're on our Facebook page, the Butcher has put up pictures of the fire they had to attend on Friday night in the middle of which was funny to hear someone in the middle of a pub quiz just drop the head. Well, I gotta go. I'm a fireman. I'm on call. Off he went. Funny, we got everybody. There's Dave's team now. Hi Bob, my better half can't decide between a Citroen Berlingo and a Skoda Kamiq. What do you think? Skoda Kamiq. Don't buy a Berlingo. You'll thank me later, I promise. Buy the Skoda Kamiq. Everything that I don't really like about those kind of cars is in the Berlingo one, and yet Peugeot make a version, or Peugeot make a version of that Berlingo, and they do okay. It's called a Rifter, and it's the passenger version of it. That's okay. I mean, if you need space, you want 7 seats, they're okay. But the Skoda Kamiq is a nicer car in every possible way, interior, exterior, just drivability, just the way it behaves on the road. It's just a nicer car. It's much more like a car and less like a van, where the rest of them are. Johnny Dub says, no Zoom invite, you're off the Christmas card list. Oh, sorry Johnny, did you not get an invite? I can't believe that. And I put it out everywhere. I mean everywhere, on every medium that I could think of, in case I left anybody out anywhere along the line. But the rule is, look, if you're a patron, I can access your emails. The invite goes straight up to Patreon. You'll get an email anyway, because Patreon will email you to say that I put up something. So everybody there gets an invite automatically. But with PayPal, it's impossible. There's just so people do £2, 10 quid, everything in between, and there's just hundreds of them, and it's impossible to figure out who's active, who isn't active. It could be 6 months ago, it could be 12 months ago, so it's impossible. So I was hoping people are going to email me for an invite. So if you email me, bobflav@thenextgear.com, like Lewin Briscoe has just done there, you will get an invite. I can't read that. It's in a foreign language, and he's got a foreign name as well, Padank something. Anyway, Jerry Bicto, hi Bob and chat, was told Skoda jacking prices by 500 quid from tomorrow. Dacia can't get stock into the country. Bit of a problem all round. I haven't seen a Renault Zoe yet either, the new Zoe. They were supposed to be in weeks ago. Skoda will be jacking up prices, and there's a lot going on right now to try and make up the deficits, and be very careful when you're buying a car. My advice to you is go on to any of the car manufacturers' websites you're looking at right now, screenshot the prices that are sitting there, and just make sure the price you're going to pay is the same in a couple of months' time, because when they all open up again, I foresee them trying to get some money in a big way and as quick as they can. Tom H, hi Bob, your thoughts on the 191 BMW 330i petrol versus 320 diesel, doing about 15,000 kilometers a year, prefer sport model as M Sport looks a bit tacky. 15,000 kilometers a year is not a lot. You're between the two. You are not going to really save or make a lot of money between buying a petrol versus a diesel, unless you spend all of that 15,000 kilometers on a motorway. Then the 320 diesel will win out. The 330i is a way nicer drive and makes a much nicer sound when you're driving along. I'd buy that for 15,000 kilometers a year, definitely. Carmack, well Bob, the quiz was great, crack on Friday, really enjoyed it. Great to have a chat afterwards, all the lads. Yeah, we all hung around we must have chatted for about 3 hours, I'd say. It's crazy. Robert, Bob, fungi is the dolphin in Dingle and Kerry. Oh, not go. Oh, sorry, right, there's more dolphins than fungi, is there? Fungi is about 73 years old at this stage. Rory Donahue says, hi, is Golf GTE worth buying? Not at the price it is right now. GTEs are fetching big money. They're overpriced at this stage. They are a bloody good car. That's why they're overpriced. Because they're a PHEV, but you're getting a decent petrol engine. It's still a Golf, so it's always going to be worth money. They're great cars, but they are well overpriced. So be very careful of that at the moment. Daz Senna, Bob, how do you get your drone to follow your car in your videos? I love watching your videos. I actually have a spotter. A person comes out with me to spot along the road to make sure they're absolutely totally empty. Sometimes we set the auto follow. It's a DJI drone, so it's able to map a car, and if you keep the speed very, very careful, and where I film, there's no trees, there's no cables overhead, there's no nothing. It's totally empty road as well, so you can get that thing to follow a car along the road once you keep your speed 30 or below, 30 kilometers an hour or below. It'll follow along, but we use spotters on both ends of the road, so if there's any traffic, anyone out walking dogs, any sheep around, no fly, we go home and we don't fly. That's why in some videos you see there's no drone footage. We just didn't fly that day. It was either too windy or too risky or whatever. We do take it very seriously with drones. We do not fly in towns or anything like that. So but I do strongly advise, if you're going to buy a drone, don't cheapskate them. I've watched guys fly drones, they take off and they just fly away, and I mean just go off somewhere else. Those ones that are controlled from your phone with no actual physical connection, they're useless. Okay, they're useless. Don't buy them. Save your money. Buy a second-hand DJI Mavic or something out there. You'll have just as much fun. There's tons and tons and tons of drones sitting in the bottom of cupboards as people bought them, like this windfall York bought them all, and now they don't know what to do with them. Operator Who says, I'd say YouTube is going to have a fit when they find out that there are ads that they're not getting a cut from. No, YouTube's okay with that. You can monetize your own stuff. You want to monetize your own stuff 100%. You can put your own ads into things. They don't care once they get to play their ads in it, which is why you see a lot of YouTubers in the middle of a video will go, just a word here on Squarespace, that sort of stuff that comes on in the middle of it. I don't sign up for any of that crap because the cut is so low, and like, who gets a website these days from Squarespace? Everybody's done it. The market is saturated, and that ad is stuck there forever. So once it's in the video, once the ad is secreted into the video, it's on and it's never going away. So you're buying permanent, persistent advertising when you buy ads from a YouTuber directly. You're not doing that when you buy it on YouTube, like Google Analytics stuff. Jared Hewitt says, look and go Bob, happy Sunday. There you go. There's the man who is behind the Zoom call that I run here quite regularly, and behind the stream, the tech behind what's happening right now to make it high definition and all lit up and new studios and all that sort of stuff. That's one of the cogs in the wheels. Operator who's answering that question? Jason Cave says 3-litre X5 is in the 500 plus tax bracket around 2008. Unfortunately, you're going to have to dig deep. You're buying into a brand that is considered to be a luxury brand, and you're buying the luxury end of the market. It doesn't come with a cheap price tag. There's no such thing as a cheap car anymore. You may forget about it. Paul Collins, hi Bob. Are all hybrid cars petrol? Is there such thing as diesel hybrids? There has been. Recently we didn't get them. Peugeot did one and was very, very good. Mercedes have done them a few times. Other car companies have kind of played with them on and off. They've brought out a single model that would contain them. But generally speaking, diesel, the problem is if you take a petrol and a diesel powered car, just same spec, two cars, 1,500 to $2,000, maybe even $3,000 between the two cars, just because one's a diesel. If you put a hybrid engine in that diesel thing as well, you put another engine, another set of batteries in. Now the Golf has become 5 and 6 and 7,000 euro to get this diesel hybrid over just a standard petrol, or even just a diesel, just a standard diesel. So sales were very low because they're very expensive. And then of course people just don't like diesel. You know, the whole idea behind diesel, and it's killing the birds and whatever else it's doing. You know, there's that end of it as well, which is a bit rough. Don't forget, you can go over to the Sunday Service Community Facebook page if you want to keep up to date with most of what the lads are doing. Post away there. It's a private little group. I'm sure Andy McPhee put a link in there somewhere. Or can I do that? In this monster, huge, massive machine, I should be able to go in here and do that, and do this, and then do that. Is that right? No. See, there's a link. Amazing. 3008 aforementioned diesel hybrid, correct? Andy McAfee, you're dead on. John says Skoda Yeti, and I'm not shortening his name is actually just John. Skoda Yeti L&K 4x4 1.8 2014 or 2016 1.5 T 4x4 Ford Kuga ST line. What would you pick and reason why? I would buy a Skoda Yeti. It's finished. You won't see any more of them on the road. It is an ultra reliable car, will carry you anywhere you want to go. Relatively invincible. It is old school cool Skoda, and it's going to become rare over time, so the longer you want it, the more chance of that going up in price. The Ford Kuga is not a bad car, never really lit my fire. It is an car, you know, like it's just another one of those kind of semi off-roady 4x4 things that didn't make a lot of sense. So I was never a big fan of Ford Kuga anyway. And there was one in the middle that came out of sort of a dip in the bonnet, and it made no sense to me whatsoever. Looked terrible. Which might be the one you're talking about. Eric Watcher says Yeti versus Kuga. The Yeti is one of a kind and probably a collector's car in a few years to come. I'd have one over Kuga any day. There you go. Second opinion. Peter, your car says, Bob, not sure how much the Honda Jazz will be in Ireland, but it will start at 20k, which is not... That sounds very cheap. £20,000, that would be, with our VRT, that's probably going to be closer to 50 grand. It won't be that high, but it'll be high enough. The problem is, most of these things allotment, particularly with Japanese manufacturers, they only allot so much for Europe, and then they only allot so much for Ireland and the UK. So the UK tends to suck away most of that, and then we get the leftovers. Thanks for the reply, says Paul Collins. Never heard of diesel hybrid. John, I've not been on a live in a while, but remember the days of 50, 60 views per live. How far you've come, Bob? I know 5 and 6. At this stage now, it's getting 5 and 6,000 people. There's 300 people watching this very minute. So it's 5 and 6,000 people per Sunday service, which is really weird for long form content. It's very odd. And I don't even have a guest on. Like, it's not like it's because of some massive guest coming on. We've had guests. And I love it. I love having a guest. I was great crack, but I'd like to do it under better circumstances. I'd like to actually have someone sitting here beside me. Would be really good. Live in studio. Bob Flavin today. Elon Musk. That'd be a laugh. But yeah, we used to have like 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 people watching, and then went up to a couple of hundred, then went up to a couple of thousand, and now we're up to thousands now, you know. Now it's getting crazy now, and the podcast goes out, that reaches thousands as well. So it's really odd, and still we don't have a sponsor, which is neat. We have channel sponsors, we don't have a direct sponsor for the Sunday service. I'd love to have one. Liam Cotter, hi, have you any thoughts on the Audi Q8? In what way? What thoughts would you be looking for on the Audi Q8? It's big, it's nice. I had problems on the one I had here, a funny back door on it. I had a funny sort of vibration problem, which was fixed by the dealership. It was just funny to see the problem come in. It's gorgeous. I prefer to see it as electric, but yeah, it's pretty good. Annie McPhee, Mazda is still meant to be bringing out a diesel hybrid this year pre-COVID. Not heard much about it since late last year though. I interviewed the chief European designer of Mazda and he never even mentioned a diesel hybrid. It was all about electric. Hybrids was definitely not a direction he wanted to take the interview in any way. So funny enough that way. Cormac says, anyone that was on the quiz the other night, guys, add me on Twitter, keep in touch. Cormac on LinkedIn. There you are. See, there's John Mack now, is everywhere. They had a great chat. In fairness, it wasn't just me chatting to everybody else. It was just a Zoom call and everybody could chat away about all kinds of things. So we ended up talking about everything under the sun. And anyone who is invited is a PayPal, Patreon or Super Chat. If you get in touch with me by email, bobflav@thenextgear.com, an invite will appear out to you in the post. Just put a title in it, say Zoom call or something. Donate somewhere, donate on one of the channels, any one of the channels, at any level, and you get invited to the Zoom call. And you can sit there and chat amongst the other Zoom callers, and we have pub quizzes and drinks and stuff. It's good. Now McHugh, no, he's on someone else. Mark Turner Smith, I like the Honda Accord saloons. Had to drive one of those Type S, basically a Type R saloon. It was mid-2000s, quite a weapon but no image. Was sorry to see the Accord disappear from production. Everybody was. The Accord was the best car Honda had outside of the Civic. They had the Civic, they had the Accord. They were the two great cars. They filled in other little places round about with the Jazz and other kind of CHRs or CRVs or whatever they were called. Those other ones filled in some gaps. But realistically, their bread and butter car was a saloon. They messed it up by just getting rid of it, and now they've no way to bring it back. They might bring it back at some point though, if the market ever shifts. Byron's here as well. He was also on a Zoom call lying in his bed. Two tired to back hacks failed. As seen on YouTube, both Coca-Cola and baby oil failed on the tyres. The sun just dried them out. Opinions. We should never use baby oil or any sort of oil substance on a tyre. That is the wrong thing to do. Really only tyre paint or the proper stuff that's actually designed to be there. There's a Maguire's one that I buy with. It's purple in a purple can. And that's brilliant. It makes it look glossy, shiny, but it doesn't give any slip on a tyre, so you don't decrease the amount of grip you've got. But a lot of them, some of them do. Bob Slavins, Andy McPhee says, we look back at the pics of my studio in the monitor on the far left, the same one is plugged into my Doomsday rig. There you go. Yeah, that's my old Samsung sitting up there in the corner. It's been there forever. I'm a half an hour behind you, I'm sorry. And 2:28 is what I'm at. So Marty O was also on the call tonight. I texted home to switch on the laptop, so when I got in I could hear the Sunday service on in the background. My other half had put the last week's episode. I could have missed the live show. Never trust the YouTube. Same thing, you know what? I do the Joe Wicks thing nearly every morning. Every morning YouTube offers me yesterday's one that I'd done before. They're really bad at promoting the live streams. YouTube themselves, like, they want me to live stream, but they don't promote it very well for me, I have to say. You do all the promotion yourself. It's really annoying. Brendan C5 says, hi Bob, a couple of Sundays ago you said you would not trust a second-hand French car because of the electric. Well Bob, that's a thing of the past. It's like saying Toyota rust and Skoda's rubbish. Well, you say that, and yet the other day I was driving on the road behind a 2017 French brand car, and when he pressed the brakes the indicators came on. Just saying. It could happen to any car, but it always seems to happen to an old French car. When French cars, and it's normal, it's like saying Fiat break down every day. They don't break down every day. Fiats are really reliable. They come out top of JD Power surveys all over the bleeding place for reliability. Their Ducato engine goes into God knows tons of yokes, but there is plenty of evidence out there to suggest the Fiats break down a lot as well, right? On the flip side of that, their own brand car. French cars, over time, the older they get, the more rattly the interior becomes. That's something I've experienced for myself. I've sat into older brand cars. My mates have cars that are pretty old. Toyotas tend to wear out, get very thin. The plastic tends to go a lighter shade of grey than it used to before. It's quite normal for them to do it. It's just not something that's generally commented on. But I get it. I'm sure some people would be, you might work in a, your name is C5, so maybe your C5, Citroen C5 you owned. I get a lot of dealers on here. Shane Colton, speaking, hopefully Irish dealers will now start pricing cars right in line with the UK imports and not $3,000 dearer. From dealing with garages this past year, I think the boom mentality has begun to step back in. Yeah, it had, I'm telling you, absolutely. There is a problem. Dealers here, dealer principals tend to be older, and I don't mean this in a sexist way, but older men. We've had a few new female dealer principals. We've actually got now a president of the SIMI. And the first time in 98 years, there's a president of the SIMI who's a female. Now, the president doesn't actually have really largely any power in the SIMI. The president is someone who they put forward a little chain around their neck and they go and do speeches and they meet the press and that sort of stuff. But they're not the ones making decisions. But traditionally, dealerships are run by older people who understand the car business from the 70s, 80s, 90s and the boom times, right? There's a new breed that has come through over the last few years who's really smart. And any dealership who isn't dealing some way online, some way through Zoom, some way through Skype, that you have to start thinking outside of where you're getting someone through the door to get them to sign on a dotted line test drive car. You've got to come outside that level and start figuring out other things. Like Volvo recently will now service your car. They come to your house, they pick up the car, they take it away, service it, bring it back to your house, validate it at your front door and put it back in your garage where it was. They will do that. That's them going, this is how we're going to have to deal with this. Dealers very soon will end up being nothing more than delivery people. They will deliver your car. You just won't buy anything there. There'll be no sales staff in a dealership if it keeps going. Brendan says he likes the new setup, very professional. Thank you very much. This cost me no amount of headaches behind me just to get this done. Try and work out a space. You're trying to work out a space to make everything work together and light it and have enough room for cameras and things. Like there's a massive computer standing in front of me and mics and like there's all the things you can't see off the edge of the camera that's all sitting in front of me as well. So it's very different, but it's good when I hear it back on the podcast. I'm editing, it's pretty good. Mini eggs, do you know when you will get superb IV? I'm interested in detailed comparison with Passat. No, still don't have a date for that. Still waiting for Skoda to come back. Obviously they're probably changing prices or whatever, but still waiting for Skoda to come back and actually start booking things. At this stage I'm kind of booked out into August. I would say it'll be August or September before I get near it, unless, if they give it to me soon I can double book it with another car, but I need to get it, like they have to be on edge very soon, try and get that done, because the dates are starting to book out. A lot of car companies just want to get me into cars, and other journalists, I'm not alone, they want to get me into cars and get it moving. I was voted the third most influential motoring journalist in Ireland on Twitter by Murray Consultants or something the other day. Let me see that. The third. Don't take advice from me. Stop it. Don't take advice from me. Go home and think about your thoughts there for a second. It's funny when it says on Twitter, like if you look at YouTube, I'm probably the most influential person on YouTube about cars, but that's okay. That's alright. I don't mind. Some people are good losers, some people are good winners. I don't mind. I came third. That's fine by me. Evans says, what do you think of the Nissan Juke around 2016, 2017, thinking of the 1.5 diesel? Want something Jeep like, need something comfortable and economical, is doing mostly motorway driving soon. Do you really want a Jeep for the motorway? I would advise you, honest to God, first thing do, look at an estate car for the motorway. They're much more comfortable to drive. They're much more economical because they're flatter and skinnier and longer. So they're more economical in that wind resistance factor. Now, if you like the Juke, different story. You buy what you like, which of course people tend to do anyway. But the Juke is okay. Not a bad car. A bit odd looking on the outside. It's very tight in the back seat. Very dark in the back seat as well in that 2016-2017 model. They improved it last year in the newer model, which is a nicer car. But it'll be fine. Like, you'll have nothing going wrong with it. The 1.5 is a DCI engine that Nissan and Renault have been manufacturing for must be 15 years at this stage, hanging around places. Dead reliable. It's nice, a bit noisy, but it's nice. John McLennan says, nice new setup, looking good, sounding great, thank you very much, it's very good. It has cost a fortune and it's blood, sweat and tears to get it to look like this, but yeah, I had to destroy a room from start to finish, but it's worked out okay eventually. Have you ever used all season tires? Much worse in the summer. No, all season are they're not good at anything. They're okay. They're not great grip in the summer, they're not great grip in the winter, but they'll get you through pretty much everything you want to do. It's worth spending a bit of money on good tyres if you feel like my wife drives our Seat Leon a lot, and I tend to go for like Continental, or I'll go for Dunlop or something, some brand name that I know, because I know if she jams on some evening on the way home from work or something, the difference in 1 metre of her stopping might be the difference between total injury and write off of the car and her being injured, or it might mean that she doesn't hit anything at all. The whole collision has been avoided, and that only comes down to tyres and brake pads. Essentially, that's it. And even bad brake pads with good tyres will stop a car faster. So I tend to spend a bit of money on tyres. They're not cheap, but I think that's where the money goes. And it's a stress purchase. I know you do it every couple of years or every 3 years, whatever it is, but it does. In your brain, you kind of go, okay, well, they're good tyres, and I know I can rely on them when it comes to a collision late at night or a back road or something someone's driving down. So it's kind of worth spending a bit of money on something decent. But the difference between all summer and summer tyres are useless when it's frosty. Below 7 degrees, and you may forget it with summer tyres in the winter. They're useless. You'll get away with it, but we're funny here now, and we don't really get like -10, -15 where summer tyres become entirely hard. So we don't really have that problem. But all season tyres will get you through everything, but not really specialist at anything. Das Team, it means Das English Team, which is the English team in German. Good man, I like it. Marty O, what was the name of the book you showed us about the Irish car industry? It is Motor Assembly Ireland by Bob Montgomery. You might find that in a couple of definitely in the library for sure, but you might find it in the odd bookshop here and there. It's published by Drellolin. It's got an ISBN number, it's got a barcode, so it's definitely for sale in places. A fascinating insight, Bob Montgomery, of books. Like, I was showing this on a Zoom chat the other night, like cars that were built in Ireland, cars that were regularly built in Ireland. I'm going to try and get this focus for you. Is like this one. See this here? This is a Henkel. Yes, that is the aircraft company, Henkel. They make cars, and it's those bubble cars. Jonathan Ross's favourite. I've driven one of them. It's a mad joke. It's like sitting in a fishbowl. Crazy. They were assembled in Ireland. This is a documentary I'm trying to make. Hudson was actually a big car company here in Ireland as well. Let me see that. Hope you see that. There it is there. Hudson. Big car company here. Jaguar made cars here in Ireland as well. So all these cars were manufactured here. Opel is there too. German car company made in Ireland. Ford were in Ireland. Fiat were in Ireland. Wartburg were in Ireland. You ever hear of Wartburg? Dozens. I've driven that car. All those car companies built cars at one point or another in Ireland, and I'm trying to make a documentary about that, but I still reckon I'd need about 10 grand to make that documentary, because I'd need a researcher to check facts. We have to find people connected to it. It's kind of time constrained as well, because a lot of the people who I'd need to interview to make that footage work are in old folks' homes, nursing homes. They're old now, like 70s, 80s, 90s, you know. Anyway, that's the name of that one for Marty. Jason Cave. Tony Saber, is it advisable to change all run flat tires with normal tires? Yeah. Run all flat tires, run flat tires on all four wheels, or normal tires on all four wheels. Either one. Marty O, what's the most efficient way to contribute? PayPal does Super Chat really take a 40% cut? They all take a cut, Marty. The most way of giving me the most money is to do it through PayPal, because there's almost no cut coming from PayPal. Really, largely, PayPal is weird. It's a bank essentially, so they take the money that's sitting there and they invest it, and that's how they make money. They don't really do a lot of transaction fees. So PayPal is the most efficient, I suppose, but it's the least reliable in that if you do it through Patreon, it's a regular contribution that comes in every month. It can actually add up to being more over time. But yeah, Patreon take a cut as well. Super Chat take, I think it's 40%. Yeah, I think it is 20 to 40% or something of every donation. It just goes into the money the PayPal advertising comes in from. So I don't mind anyway. But yes, the most efficient way to give me money directly is through PayPal. No, I'm not far enough back. It's shot forward. It's shot forward at a rate of knots, and I've lost where I was. Talk amongst yourselves there. I'll be back in 10 seconds. I will find you. Love you talking amongst yourselves. Here's the laptop comment. Got that one. Brendan C5 got that one. Getting close. I'm getting close. Nearly there. Yes, found you. Mark Turner-Smith, agree, got run flats on my 2007 Mini Cooper 120 PS 1.6 because that's previous owner put on, want to get rid of, not nice, but then also thinking bigger wheels, don't like the 175, 65 or 15 tires, which brings me to another point. Actually, a person asked me the other day, how do you read what size your tire is? The tires you're looking for are the tires that are on your car, right? So generally speaking, the first tires you get on your car are the specific size coming from the manufacturer. But often when you go to a dealership and say, oh, you know, I'd like them wheels, those wheels are nice, I like them ones, like that, they'll go down to the local shop and buy a set of alloys and put them on, because it's cheaper for them to buy it from a bleeding local shop than it is to go and get it put back on the car in Germany or something. Okay, so just bear that one in mind. But when you're reading your tires, 175, 165 is, forget about those sort of things. You're not worried about that. What you're worried about is the actual dimension of the tire. The 15 inch, there are 16, 17, 18, 21s, whatever they are after that. The other side is the dimensions across the width of the tire, the height of the profile of the tire, and that sort of stuff. The height of the profile is the second digit, so 65. The bigger the number, the thicker the profile. But yeah, run flats are terrible at times. They can be okay, but they're getting better. But they're still funny. Oh, hello! Oh, look at that. The wife has delivered. The cup of coffee has arrived just in time too. What time is it? Oh yeah, a little over halfway through. Let's see if we finish on time today. I doubt it. We never finish on time. Last week I managed to kind of finish on time, ever so slightly, nearly finished on time. Annie McPhee says, I ditched run flats on 530D years ago, as I could get and kept a spare instead. So much better grip and quieter plus cheaper. Yeah, run flats are really expensive and loud. They're quite noisy when you're driving along. And a tire makes up a lot of suspension inside of a car, so shock absorbers and that sort of, that end of it, that makes part of it, but tires make another big part of it. The thicker the tire, so the side wall of the tire, if it's really thick, very comfy and quiet. Somebody got Mohammed has been deleted by Annie McPhee, has used the ban hammer today, as is Eric Rochford. See, the moderators are in, you got to watch them. They got big hobnail boots and they kick you to death as you come through the door if you say something they don't like. I don't even look at it. So if you think about saying that sort of stuff, I don't check on their work. Their work is exceptional. It's brilliant. Dermot Walsh, if we let in all the Sunday service run ads, if we all let the Sunday service run ads and all in a muted window over and while we worked on our computers during the week, would you get more money? Yes, you would. Essentially, what a lot of big YouTubers did, we'll take, I can't remember what the man's name is, little blonde guy, jumps around, he went into a forest and filmed some kid after committing suicide. I can't remember his name, whatever his name is. He had a thing called Team 10. So what he did was, he got 10 of his friends who already had YouTube channels. They all moved into a house together. They set up multiple computers in the house and devices and laptops and mobile phones and different Wi-Fi connections, and it just played their own channels all day, and they'd comment on each other's stuff until each of the channels got massive. This is an open secret, right? And YouTube knows this happens, right? Lots of people do this sitting at home. They stream their own channels. I have a habit when I put up a brand new video of going to a different laptop and playing it on the laptop to see what it sounds like. It only occurred to me that that's actually a play. If I logged into somebody else, I could play it. But yes, if you were to set up a laptop in a corner of a room or something, just let it stream on a playlist belonging to me. Yes, I would continually, because your watch time would go up and up and up, I would continually get not more money, but you get the money you actually deserve, I suppose, in some ways. Annie McPhee says possibly could go to the channel and play all the videos on a playlist muted in another tab for the same effect and more ads. Yes, I think so. I think the tab thing works as well. Tony S. Bob, is there any news on when driving schools are going to reopen? It's tough enough already for young people who are trying to get enough driving lessons for hours on the test. I think we're looking at August at this stage, August or even into September. When the schools start opening, that's when that's going to happen. Nobody's brain is really pushing to make anything happen or anything useful happen in that sector. There's so much health and safety surrounding the entire thing that they're so scared to do anything about it. Even a plastic bag between them and the driver. It's just, there's so many things you could do easy enough that could be fixed, but they haven't fixed it. But I'd say it's going to be August, September before we even see a movement in that direction. We've other things to start out as well, like NCT, tax offices. My driver's license is expiring. I need a new driver's license. That's closed as well. There's a 4-month kind of embargo on that or something that's happening over that time, but it's expiring. I need to get a driver's license. Alex Theodore, are Ford's latest 1-litre petrol engines good, or are they underpowered? They're good, just don't think they'll last very long. I can't imagine a Ford 1-litre engine in a Ford Mondeo with the little turbo spinning at 250,000 revs per minute. That's what they spin at, by the way, 250 to 270 RPM, 1000 RPM. I can't imagine that turbo lasting forever, on a car. 10 years from now, I'd say they replace 5 turbos in it. A Russian name says, greetings from Russia. You're speaking English, but I cannot even begin to figure out what that Russian name is. But thank you very much. Hello, Russia. Martin Smith was out training on my bicycle yesterday afternoon in a forest and came across 2 people causing complete chaos, driving a camera car in front. Public road, going slow, selfish action. Well, that's just thick. That's thick. Camera car stuff and all. That's why, if you look at what's it called? Car Wow, the other one, What Car, and all those ones out there, if you look at their videos, they're all filmed in the same place. That's a closed road. That's a road you hire out. But now it's so busy they can't get any work done. They're all filming at different ends of it. Car, film, anything up there, TV shows and stuff, all filmed in that same location. I'd go Yeti, but not 1.8 TSI for reliability due to chain issues. Yeah, the chain on the 1.8 TSI wasn't great now, in fairness. A timing chain, that would be. Byron says, Bob, you are the guest. Don't mind the other shames. You are the guest. I'm the guest. In the Zoom chat, Alright. John, your mate with a Merc. You done a few videos. Has that come to an end in terms of making video together? Well, we're not in the same town and we're down on lockdown, so we can do nothing else about seeing one another. He's in Kildare, I'm down here. So he's outside my 5 kilometres, outside my 20 kilometres actually. And it wouldn't be considered essential work. And of course, there's the whole coronavirus fact that he might be having an infection. I might have an infection. I might pass on to him. So there's all that going against it. But it hasn't come to an end. No, we were supposed to do something during the summer, but sure, it's summer now. But now I have to get back to work as well. That was a fun project for sure, but it's a gargantuan amount of work to edit 2 people into a thing with camera crews and stuff. It becomes quite expensive very quickly, time-wise expensive. And realistically, my days are getting shorter and shorter all the time with the work that's going on right now. VU Bear says, afternoon, Bob. Afternoon, VU Bear, whatever it means. Lee Lifting Services Limited. Tony Fit. Hi, Bob. I always goes out Bon, because B and N are right beside each other. But Bon, Paul. When I say my name on the phone, hello, it's Bob speaking. Hi, Paul. Every time. I can't see the point of diesel hybrids. The emissions are too high. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Tony. There is emissions go to 0 when it runs on batteries, and hybrids do run on battery power quite considerably for quite a long time these days. You could, in essence, have a decent motorway cruiser with a city version of it. There is ways around. It just depends how fast and how quick we're going to run into the EV line. The problem is battery technology, battery supply, not technologies. Okay, there's no reason not to buy an electric car now, other than the fact that they drive crap in comparison to a decent petrol yoke. Third vote here for the Scotty Yeti over Ford because it's short production run. It's definitely a future classic and getting shorter because good old Skoda have cancelled basically all the cars. No, not all the cars. They have axed the Karoq Scout, Kodiaq Scout, and Kamak Diesel has been axed by Skoda. Ocean Froggy agree. Cheap drones less than 1,500 are a waste of space. They end up as dust collectors on top of a wardrobe. Sooner or later, if they don't fly away, drones are not aircraft and require no skill to fly. True. Just remember, in this country, you have to register if it's over 1.5 kgs, or is it over 1 kgs? 1.5 kgs that you have to register with the IAA. You cannot fly it in Portlaoise. We have a maximum security prison here. You are not supposed to fly a drone in Portlaoise over 10 meters off the ground. So if you're taller than the house, you're already at a loss. But you know, these laws, they're not laws. But they, you know, if the guards catch you, they'll seize the drone, because they'll seize your footage. Anyway, yes, do buy a good drone. DJI make the best drones. They make the best software for those drones. They make the ultimate of everything. Don't cheapskate out and buy a yoke up in Aldi. It'll be broken. You'll lose it day one. It'll turn upside down. Like I watched a guy doing a park the other day. He was going to take off about 3 feet off the ground. The thing flipped and came straight down on its propellers. it just tried to drill a hole to Australia. That's essentially what the thing was trying to do. Anyway, Kafee says tire dressing used by most car washes is just unleaded petrol. Yeah, corrosive, by the way. Petrol on your tires over time, not immediately, but over time it will cause cracking and drying out of your tire. I had a 2001 Citroen C5. When the brakes hard, the hazard lights come on automatically. Newer cars tend to have rapid flashing brake lights to suit more markets' legislative requirements. Every car has that these days. You slam on the brakes and the hazard warning lights will flash. This was not hazard warning lights. This was him just braking, coming up to a roundabout, and all the lights on the back of the car came on all at once. So the indicators come on, the brake lights, the fog lamps, the whole lot came on the back of the car. The car was a 2017 French model. That's just one incident. Just mean it happened to anyone, but it was just one instance of those cars. Blue Dolphin. Hi Bob, do you think that Renault will close down, and if so, will Nissan, Peugeot, Citroen will close too? The problem is for the French government, right? So French government have announced a stimulus plan, technically against EU rules, to do this, to favour one industry over the other. So under EU rules, if you're going to stimulate Peugeot, you have to stimulate Citroen and Renault and everyone else in the French industry, but you also then will have to stimulate Volkswagen because they're in the EU, right? And have to stimulate Seat because they're in the EU as well. So if it's an EU-wide plan, it has to be done in the EU sense. So technically, the French government are not supposed to be stepping in to give 8 billion or 10 billion to the car industry. I don't foresee that Renault is going to go down, but I don't at the same time see the survival rate between Renault, Citroen and Peugeot, all three of them being supported by the French market alone, because essentially those cars sell well in France, but they don't. You go onto a German autobahn, drive around in Germany for a while, you really don't see a lot of those French cars. Amsterdam, Holland, they have a few French cars, but they tend to like American big V8 things. Further Switzerland, you get into, or Sweden and Denmark and all those kind of places, that's Volvo's territory. So I don't know if you can keep that amount of car industry buds alive by just stimulating a market. But I don't think Renault's going to close. Now, Renault's a very, very old, very trustworthy. If they don't get dragged completely under by Nissan, I think they'll survive. VU Bear, most manufacturers want to get rid of the right-hand drive cars to only make left-hand drive. I would totally go with that. I love that. I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. I think 100% in this country, in Ireland, we could switch the side of the roads over a weekend. You know, I think we'd have to take it very carefully, but by the end of the weekend, we'd start to get the swing of it and get back into normal. There would be deaths, but there would just be, natural selection taking part. That's natural wastage, we'll call it. But by the week after, we'd have a couple of thousand less drivers on the roads, and that'd be good. I think we could do it. Just change the side of the roads, make the cars cheaper, import them directly from Holland. You save thousands. Doesn't matter about the deaths, they'll be fine. I'm waiting for the comments now. Hang on, scroll forward there. Come back. Come on. No, I know. Okay, that's too far ahead. There's the Renault closing down. That's the one. VU Bear says, no, that's the right-hand drive. I'm good at that. Mark Turner Smith, should I worry about my 2007 Mini Cooper, the Daily, is in fact have a PSA group engine with a BMW badge stuck on it? No, not really. It's a good engine, actually. PSA, Citroen, Peugeot, Alliance make great engines. Where French cars fall down as electrics and plastics, they don't do very well on longevity, so how long the car lasts. Germans make very good interiors and exteriors. Where they fall down is longevity on their engines, over 100,000 kilometers. A lot of German engines start to burn oil. It's just quite normal. Maybe 150,000. So there's a lot, there's a lot. Every car company and every brand of car has their own little kind of foibles that they don't like. But Peugeot engines, no, I don't know, probably the engine, they go forever. Twist South, Andy, is not the dangerous to have petrol all over your wheels? No, you're fine as long as you don't put it on the exhaust. Just don't throw it in the exhaust or the manifold or under the engine or in the cabin. It kind of stinks. Big difference between diesel, petrol. Okay, so they're actually the same fuel technically. They're just ignited differently. There's some different additives in either one, but essentially it's all crude oil. Diesel is more viscous. It's got more oil in it. So if you pour diesel on your hands, it actually sits there on your fingers. You can smell it and you can feel the oil. If you put petrol on your hands, it evaporates off and leaves nothing. It dries your skin out very badly, but it just evaporates away and it disappears. Which is why, don't do this, which is why a lot of the the guys who fire flames out of their mouth, you can put it on your hand. You can hold your hand up and it's burning. It is actually burning on your skin, but it's burning on your skin, not in your skin. Whereas diesel will, and kerosene as well, will burn much hotter. Zdenko, hi Bob. Is 5 years old Lexus still reliable and recommended? The Lexus don't break down ever. They just keep going. That's why Lexus don't sell many cars. Being dead honest with you, Lexus would sell more cars if more of their cars went wrong. Because people buy a Lexus, they drive it for 30 years and they hand it over to their daughter and they drive it on for another 30 years. That's why you see so many old, you don't see many Lexuses on the road. The ones you see are often very old because they just don't break down. Just do the normal, obviously, checks. You can have an oddball car that'll fall apart and the least sign of activity, but generally speaking, they're good. I must leave feedback for YouTube and the fact that viewer activity thing just sticks there at concurrent viewers of 20. So it's like as if only 20 people have been watching, but actually right now we're at 3,500. So it's kind of mental, like, that YouTube leave me stuck there. Right now there's 275 people watching at this very moment. Tony Saber says, what do you think of the Toyota CHR? Did a video on that 2 weeks ago. It's on the channel, check it out. Good car. A bit dark in the back, was a good car. If you want comfort, go for a saloon and go for the longest wheelbase possible. The greater distance between the front and rear tyres is more comfort, says Eric Quattro, who drives, don't you ever saw the Superb? Something like that? Yep, he's dead right. The longer the car, that's why vans are so comfy. You're tall and it's long and it's really nice to just drive along in. But yeah, the longer the wheelbase, the more middle of the car you are. So the further back you are from the front wheels and the further forward you are from the back wheels, the more comfortable the car is. That's why limousines, not just for space, are considered to be the most comfortable cars. Brendan C5, no Bob, not a dealer, I'm just a taxi driver who drives big Citroens because they are so comfortable and never an electrical problem with the last 20 years of driving them 290,000 miles on no creaks. You see now the big difference here between you as a taxi driver and ordinary drivers is the vast majority of ordinary drivers never even consider looking over the bonnet or cleaning the car or looking inside it or hoovering it out or nothing, whereas a decent taxi driver will know a car intimately. Regularly I get into the back of a taxi car and immediately I get in and find out who I am, and they start talking about cars and they're talking about transmissions and timing belts, and they know the car inside and out. They look after the car. So in actual fact, taxis are really well looked after the vast majority of the time. They just do gigantic miles, so some of them show a bit of age. Brandon Donnelly, in 3 years I'll be due to change my vehicle. I'd be interested to see where cars are then. It'll be the same as they are now. The investment level to continue making electric cars, PHEVs and all that kind of stuff right now, the investment level for that is humongous, and car companies have just gone through a point where they went to zero sales and they're going to slowly tick their way back up to where they were. But I don't think we're going to get back to the level of sales of cars as we were 2 years ago. I think that's going to be another 2 years away. Marty O says, Miss Flavin should have made a guest appearance with a bottle of wine on Friday. Enjoyed the quiz and chat, had a power cut and left it out saying thanks. We could have had a tiebreaker. Yeah, we should. I never even thought of a tiebreaker. I didn't even think that someone would actually, that we'd have a tie in a pub quiz. I really didn't think. I thought to be a clear winner out of it. We will be having more. She is currently writing more questions for another pub quiz very shortly. And I might convince her into it. The one thing my wife doesn't like to do is actually show her face on camera. And so she's never been in any of the videos or any of the Instagram posts, really. She's been in a couple of Instagram things where we've been out running together and taking a picture over there, right? But that's as far as it gets. She doesn't really do the things. Johnny Dove says Logan Paul, that's the guy. Logan Paul and Team 10. They broke the internet for a little while. John says, I meant to side the COVID, but it's understandable. See, this is where I go, I don't know what the first part of that question was. It's happened to me every time I look at the question. I go, yeah, that was a question, was it? It was a question a few minutes ago, but I don't remember what it was. Don't forget, please support the channel in any way you can. PayPal, Patreon, at least subscribe and click the bell icons and things. That often helps. That means that YouTube has to pay me money, like, because of subscribers. Love to get to 50,000 subscribers in the next couple of weeks. It'd be brilliant. More documentaries on the way. The Tesla want to be out next week. Just reshot some bits of it there, and tomorrow's a bank holiday, so I'm actually going to have a little lie in. When I say a lie in, my brain will go 7 a.m. I'm awake. That's it. Nothing I can do about it. Cannot go back to sleep. Forget about it. If the kids are going to school, it'll be 6:30, but they're not going to school, but it'll be 7 tomorrow morning, and that's it. It doesn't matter what I drink or what I eat. 7 o'clock, my brain's got to get up and start going. Where were we? Brendan, see if I was answering now. Pat Mulligan. I am at 3:20 p.m, so I'm just 10 minutes behind you. See? You see how I catch up sometimes. Sometimes. I'll see what I can do about that. Pat Mulligan says, I was listening to a Sunday service last week while walking on the beach. When I got home, an SMS from Games Mania, which I ignored 24 hours later, I got charged €20. Be careful with your phone in your pocket. What's Games Mania? I don't know what that means. I've nothing at all to do with Games Mania. I can absolutely certify for that one. I do not sell. I do not endorse raffling cars. You can raffle them all you want, but I don't endorse them. John just donated £10 there by Super Chat. You're a very kind man, John. Thank you very much. But I definitely don't endorse any of these raffle sites or any of these. I've seen someone sent me a picture the other day of my face on the bottom of a page where they were raffling a car somewhere. I don't endorse that. Go away. Nothing to do with me. They got a cease and desist letter from me, so it's okay, don't worry, but it's gone now. But it was there for a while. If you don't see it here on this channel or on my official things, so like Instagram or Twitter or on our Sunday Service Facebook page from my post, if you don't see it coming from one of them places, it ain't nothing to do with me. My God, that's lovely coffee. And it's just got to a temperature now. It's really nice. K Zarev. It ends in a V. That means it's very hard to pronounce. Hello, Bob. Which engine would last longer, 1.5 TSI or 2-litre Sky Active G? I would go to 2-litre of that. Big engines are under less pressure to do the same work as small engines, right? So to put that, the enemy of everything in a car is weight. The heavier it is, the slower it is. The slower the 0 to 60 time becomes. The only thing weight adds to is luxurious feeling. So a heavier car feels more luxurious, which is why a Rolls Royce can weigh up to like 4.5 tons for a saloon car, right? Because they feel more substantial on the road. But in ordinary terms, in ordinary cars, the enemy of everything inside the car, handling, dynamics, braking, acceleration, not 60 times, cruising ability, everything is weight. So if you have a very heavy engine pulling a very heavy car, you're going to get very bad fuel economy. If you have a very light engine, like a 1.5 or a 1 litre pulling a very heavy car, you're going to have very bad fuel consumption again. So it doesn't matter which way around you do that. Unless the car is light and the engine's small, that's the only way to improve the fuel economy. So 1.5 TSI is a great engine, but longevity wise, which is what you're asking there, is how long they would last. An engine that's under less pressure will last longer, hence why Johnny Smith is resurrecting an old car there, and it's got a V6 engine. The thing is 50 years old, you know, and it's still going to do what it's supposed to, because big engines tend to be invincible, particularly V8s and V6s. If you're looking at that kind of old engine, they're the best ones. But Skyactiv G engine, Mazda engines tend to be fairly reliable. They're not terribly economical, but they're reliable. 1.5 TSI will be more economical, but they are lovely cars to drive, and they make engines that tend to last a fairly long time. Ocean Froggy, the old Renault 30 from the 1970s would shift for a Wallow wagon. It would actually, and you know, there's a couple of Peugeots around that time as well. There's a Peugeot, is it 507 or 508? No, 508 is the new one. 507, 506, 505. Maybe it's the 505. It was very popular in North Africa, Morocco, Libya, those kind of places. They had an estate version of it. The thing was invincible. Best suspension in the world. Parts available everywhere. Just a gorgeous thing to drive as well. I can't remember what number it was. It may have been like 505 or 504, something way back. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll Google it. Peugeot. Let me just mouth out the word Peugeot while I'm typing. 505. 505 is gorgeous. I have to say 505 is particularly pretty. But maybe it's not 505. Maybe it's 504. It's the 504. That's the one. 504. Peugeot 504 is my all-time. I'd love an estate version of that. I love that car. Look at it. So pretty, that car. I love that that machine. Absolutely gorgeous. Sorry, back now where I was. Gone off into a tangent there. Roderick James says, as much as I love the idea of EV, I can't see the pickup of them taking off soon with high prices and what will be plenty of redundancies by the end of the year. What is the answer to EV selling? The problem for EV is we're just starting to get moving in that direction. Some people have taken it much more seriously than others, and this is a big issue. A lot of people took it on face value because Robert Llewellyn said it, because Elon Musk said it. It's the only way to go. We have to, it's the best thing in the world. It's the best thing for the environment. It's not the best thing for the environment. Making new stuff does not help the environment at all. Doesn't do anything for the environment. It only damages the environment. So if we continually make new things all the time and think we can just continue to replace all the cars we got, and that's the solution, it isn't really the solution, because in 15 or 20 years time we're going to have a litany of electric cars all over the place, and what do we do with all them now? We have to replace all them again now because the battery is running down, the battery has to be recycled, and everybody just throws that out the whole time. The EV owners and EV evangelists throw it out the whole time about recycling. But we can just recycle the batteries. It's a whole car. I'm sorry, but we have to think about this gigantic €50,000 car. And you're telling me you can recycle the battery. What about the rest of the car? You're saying you're going to replace the battery in 10 years, in 15 years. You're going to replace the battery, car can drive on, or do I have to buy a whole new car? It's great to be able to recycle and all, but what happens to the current model of owners? Tesla recently dropped the price on the Model 3 and Model S. Maybe Model Y or X or something as well. That's a scary sign. Be very careful of that. When car companies mid-cycle just randomly drop the price of a car, it means one of two things. One, they're a little bit desperate for sale, possibly. They need to sell off stuff. Two, they're short of supply, or they have too much supply of stuff and they're trying to get rid of a few extra cars. Or three, they're in financial trouble and they need a refund, they need to refloat very quickly. You'll notice any car company like Volkswagen or someone, they make a car, they set the price remains pretty stable until it's on its run out, until they do a refresh of the car. Once the car is refreshed, the older model does a run out price, and then they kind of throw all the options at it, and bang, it goes out. So be careful of that one. But EVs into the future, lads, there's a scary future to EVs, I think. There's a lot of unanswered questions. If we go all in on EVs, which is totally possible, there's still a ton of unanswered questions. In 15 years, my car is 15 years old and still goes like a clock. In 15 years from now, will I still be driving an EV on the same batteries that I buy today, in the same condition it was before? Because that's my car can do that. I was able to do 600 kilometers to a tank of fuel in that when I bought it brand new in 2006. I can still do that. It's still fine. Nothing has changed. I didn't put a new engine in. It serves myself. So the future of EV is going to be a kind of a tricky one, to be honest with you. VU Bear says hit the like button, and he means it. You should have put in an exclamation mark there as well. But yeah, you mean it. He's right. Hit the like button. You're dead on. Still, 274 of you watching right now. It is, in actual fact, kind of humbling. Because I sit here every week and I'm talking to a screen and you're on the other side of it, but I don't see you. Other than the Zoom chat there, I don't see you. And it's weird because you feel like you could be talking to yourself. But I've always done this like a radio show, so it's kind of weird. But it was a comment a few weeks back. Lots of guys jumped in on the comment and he was talking about the kind of higgledy-piggledy background on the thing. But that's because it's impossible to do. I do all this on my own. There isn't a team. There's no team in this. There's no kind of next gear team or the Bob Flavin production company or something. There's just me. And so it's I have to keep doing it every single week and I like it. Need more tea, coffee. Eric Washart had a superb Bob, have an E-Class now, bought really comfortable. I see, bought long cars. You see, the man knows, he likes his comfort. Johnny Dubs says, speaking of vans, ever thought of doing reviews on them? My 17 Transit is grand, but never knew our Sprinters are beautiful to drive. Bit saggy in the rear springs though. I have. There's a major problem with vans and press cars in Ireland in general. Press vans, I have two problems with them. One is there's only 3 seats in a van, obviously, or 2 seats in some of them. But driving the kids around or taking the kids to school around, it's gone out the window straight away. But on the flip side of that, the problem is you can't get them often enough. Volkswagen, I have no problem getting Volkswagens. I can have Crafters and all them other cars out there. But getting a Transit or getting any of these cars, they so very rarely refresh them. Like, it's only once in a while they put out a new model. And there's kind of a group of people who review vans and don't want me coming in there with big size 11s, getting it all sorted out. So I'll see. I might see if I have time. I might make a van channel, or I might make a subsection of this channel that does vans, which would be kind of cool. I'd like to see some electric vans, and I've seen them about. They're on the way, and trucks and buses and stuff as well. Matthew Todd, thanks for your advice about keeping the car running in the lockdown a couple of weeks ago. The new baby came very early under rather scary circumstances, but all is well now. The car did great. Now you see, always giving out the good advice. Keep your car going. Always make sure your car is like, start it every once in a while, because batteries go flat. All batteries go flat. Doesn't matter whether it's an electric car or it's a 12 volt. They've all got a 12 volt battery in them. And those 12 volt batteries are required to turn the starter motor and run the lights and the air conditioning and all that stuff. And eventually that goes flat. And if it goes flat, it won't start when you want it to actually start. You want to go back to work, or in an emergency where a child's being born, which is dad's excuse to break the law. You can go as fast as you want to the hospital. My 2 kids were born in Portlaoise Hospital. And yes, I broke every speed limit in the country to get there. So yeah, come and arrest me. Prove it. But yeah, I did actually break all the speed limits to the kids that night. And both in that Leon, which is why I'm always reluctant to give it that Leon as well. My kids were born in it. I bought lived in Newbridge. We bought the house in 2008 here. We bought the car in 2006. So there's this, it's been with us. It's been like a part of the family. It needs a bit of work. There's a bit of damage around the front. It needs to be fixed up and polished up and cleaned up, and if I give it a good old polish and straighten up some of the damage, it's as good as gold. Like, it's never been crashed. Nothing terrible. Normal little things that happen to a car that's nearly 15 years old or 16 years old, whatever it is now. Irish Foxhound says, the game sale phone in pocket. I googled a game walkthrough, clicked on a page and found the clue I needed, but a week later received 2 text messages. I got billed €6 short. I got the money back. How are you getting billed for any of this? If you look at a YouTube video, you can't be billed. I mean, obviously, if you click the ad or something in it, but you'd have to give all sorts of details to be charged to your phone, surely. I don't think I've ever been charged for anything anyway. Like I said, I don't control the advertising on YouTube, so I have no idea if that's what's happening. Why are Nissan doing bad? Well, they're not doing good. They could go out and save the world, I suppose. They could do good. But doing bad, Nissan, okay, so the whole Nissan thing is complicated because it's more complicated by Carlos Ghosn, who is the managing director essentially of Nissan and the whole group, the Renault group, the Nissan group, the whole lot. Okay, so he may or may not allegedly have been trading stocks and shares and buying in ones himself and selling them off himself and manipulating the stock market. May have been. He may have been doing an awful lot more stuff. He ran away to Lebanon after being arrested in Japan, I think. Nissan has been reducing their sales constantly for years. Nissan were saved by Renault. Renault came in when Nissan was about to close the doors, turn out the lights and go home. Renault came in and gave them a shed load of cash in exchange for battery technology. This is where Nissan was. And so they were bailed out by Renault. So Renault took shares and formed an alliance, as they call it, but actually had a controlling interest in Nissan and Renault. The two of them control each other. A couple of years ago, they got Mitsubishi on board, and Mitsubishi now are looking at their shoes kind of going, why did we get involved in this? You know, we're not really selling a lot of cars because of this alliance. And now Renault finds itself very short of money. They can no longer support Nissan in their endeavours to try and get more sales. Nissan don't have a lot of product. When you look at what Nissan actually sells, the Juke, the Leaf, they had a Pulsar, it's gone. They have the Micros there. Primera's gone. Almira's gone. The X-Trail is still hanging about there, but nobody really buys that car. So it's a tough place. They've got the Juke, really. The Leaf is 2 or 3 years old. Micros older, 3-4 years old. Tough place to be. Now we have Hertz, who would have traditionally bought a stack of small cars like the Nissan Micra. Right, so they would have gone, listen, give us 50,000 Micros. They're gone. Hertz, good luck, we're finished. That's the end of that. So that sale is gone as well. So it leaves people like Nissan, who were struggling along, kind of limping along for a few years, in a position now where they really have nothing, like no hope of moving forward without new product, without new sales, marketing, scaling up. It's a tough place to be. And you've got new entrants like Tesla, who are hoovering up people who would have otherwise bought a Nissan Leaf, are buying a Model 3. It's not a big price walk for one. It's not a massive one. Leaf is already fairly expensive. To get up to Model 3 price isn't a massive jump. So that's, in a roundabout way, that's why Nissan are in trouble. Nissan will continue to be in trouble until they elect somebody who knows what they're doing as to their managing director. Anyway, Martio, I love to buy an old classic. Anything you recommend? Not huge money, but something with parts available. I would look at Morris Minor, because it's an actual car, right? And you can get them, if you get them in shoddy enough shape, you could probably get them from 3 to 5 grand. It is a proper vintage. You're going to go back a good few years. They're very cute, very sellable, very stealable, by the way. Just remember that in mind. If you haven't got a garage, don't buy, or a way of blocking it in. You can open a bleeding door with a toothpick and everything. There's easy. You get started with a knife out of your kitchen drawer, right there. Rubbish. But you can get all that changed. You get a crook clock and all that stuff on it. But Morris Minor is a good bet. That's not a bad place to be. They're nice. You'll feel good going along to a vintage run. You blend in with the other vintage cars. You look okay. You want something a bit more expensive? If you want to go the other end, a P1800 from Volvo. Gorgeous car, but you're going to pay way over 20 grand for those kind of things to get them in good shape. Mark 1 Golf GTI, if you want something that drives well, will get you a lot of kudos. If you want really cheap, you can go and find some sort of old Nissan or Datsun or Toyota from the late 70s, early 80s, maybe a K10 or something. Something around those range. But that won't. A lot of vintage guys don't like to look at the Japanese cars, even though they're bloody older than some of the stuff they drive. Mick Mulcahy, hi Bob, would you recommend a 1 litre TSI or 1.5 TSI in the Golf 2018-19 model? Do you know the latest software updates involved kangarooing issue on 1.5 TSI? Yes, the software update is done or should be done across the board, but obviously if you haven't brought your car in for the software update, it's not done. But if it's for sale at dealership, the kangarooing should be finished. 1.5 TSI is a lovely, smooth, responsive engine. It's actually quite economical in longer runs. I actually prefer the 1 litre TSI to drive, but not for long. If you're going to be driving it for 5 to 10 years, I'd be kind of cautious of putting it into a 1 litre. The best engine the Volkswagen Group ever made was a 1.4 TSI, which they changed to be a 1.5, and then it caused a whole heap of problems. I don't know why they changed it. It was a great engine as it was. They should have just left it alone. Do you listen to me, Volkswagen, at all? 1.4 TSI was brilliant. But out of those two engines, I would reckon you should go for the 1.5 TSI. It's a better engine, more responsive and nicer to drive in general. And will last longer probably. Lots of people talking to one another. They all know each other now. All the Zoom guys, all the guys who support us on Patreon, on PayPal, on Super Chat, just plain old cash. They all come together now and all know one another. So, like, you know, they're all exchanging email addresses, phone numbers, and all sorts of things going on, lads. It's brilliant, though. The little community we've developed here over the last, I don't know how many years I'm doing this now, but over the last few years, the little community that's appeared, that comes every Sunday, that answers all the questions, and even talk to one another about the answers of things. It's great. It's brilliant to see that community grow and get used to one another and get to know one another and hang out. When it all lifts and the threat ends, we will have a physical meetup some Sunday. The whole lot of us will bring all our cars to a place and we'll have a little chinwag in the corner of a room somewhere. Pat Nolan, better say the wife is on a team or you be killed. She's kind of on a team. Yeah, she drops in and out of the team, but she minds the other bit. The other team in the house is your family. I think that behind every worker, whether you're a worker or whether you're a sole trader or you're in business, behind every worker is a family, whether it be your brothers and sisters or mother and father, or it's your wife, your husband, uncle, aunt, whatever it is. Someone behind you is driving you forward and makes you do things and makes you want to achieve stuff. This is something I wanted to do. This is something that it's really largely mine. You know, this is something nobody can touch on me or take away from me. I'm not responsible to an editor. You know, it's just you guys, really. And in that way, my wife keeps and my kids keep. They know I work, and so they stay quiet, or they stay out, or they deliver coffee, or they help me build a room out, or whatever it is. And in that way, it's part of the team. But actually, production-wise, no, zero. I don't. Nobody else helps. It's just me. K. Zaharev says, you're not talking to yourself, Bob. I quite like what you do, thanks. I recommend your channel to friends, thank you. Especially the Sunday talks are great and spot on. It's funny how the Sunday service has become, like, to some degree bigger than the actual car review end of it. More people want more of the Sunday service and less of the car reviews, I suppose, in some way. People like the documentary stuff as well, which is the big part. That's coming along nicely, and that will ramp up later on in the year with more documentaries. The problem with documentaries, they're massively time consuming, and I mean massively. It's a week of reading documents and emailing people and asking questions and getting information and then putting that all together into a script that makes some sort of sense, and then when you say it out loud and you go, that doesn't sound right, why am I saying that? I need to rewrite the whole thing. Then you film and then a day standing in the bleeding sunshine with the sun beating down the back of your neck. You're trying to figure out what to say to the bloody camera while you're surrounded by people. I don't know who it was the other day. Someone in Portlaoise driving through a crosswalk waved at me and said, oh yeah, on the camera. So it's on the camera. I might leave that in the next one. I don't know who it was though. Adrian Leonard, that's it, Bob. No new Peugeot E208 for the family. We will keep what we have. I have a Peugeot 2E208 at the end of the month, I think. End of next month, I mean. If I'm right, I'll tell you in a minute. Do Patreon live stream, Ireland. Oh yeah. My God, I can't remember where the hell that's gone. T-Rock is there, Camry is there, 2 Series there. I definitely have a Peugeot something or other in somewhere before the end of the month. It's terrible, isn't it? I forget how many cars I've driven. I'm trying to not drive too many cars this year because it's crazy when there's 2 or 3 a week. You go, hold up a second. I can't do this. I can't make this many videos. James Wilson says, hi Bob, grand day in Fermanagh. Have you drove the new Defender? Excellent show. No, I have not driven the new Defender. I have sat in it, on it, around it. I was at the whatever motor show it was that I met Marek at. I've seen everything there is to see about it, and I still wouldn't trust it as far as I could throw it. I mean, reliability wise, it looks okay, but they're overpriced, aren't they? I mean, for what they are, Defender should be the everyman car. That's supposed to be the car that everybody wants to drive on their farm. You know, that's what it was for. That's what the Defender for. The tradition behind the Defender was a car that could be repaired with a sledgehammer. You know, you just throw some fuel in it and keep on going, just climb every mountain and ford every stream. That was the whole point behind Defender. And this one looks more like a sort of fashion statement or something, maybe. And plus, Range Rover, Land Rover, Jaguar are in financial difficulties in a big way, in that they spent bazillions on creating a new diesel engine just when everybody wanted to go electric. So it's a tough one, that one. Adrian MG53. Afternoon Bob, just been watching NASA TV, very hot here and still waiting for my Q3 Sportback. Looking forward to delivery day. Have they hooked up yet? No, the Dragon, has they hooked up? I haven't been watching. I quit the message in case it was interfering with my stream. Sorry, although I have to shout out to Vodafone. My Wi-Fi broadband thing has been under severe pressure for the last while, trying to cater for the kids playing Roblox and me playing video games and streaming and all that sort of stuff. So it's been pretty busy. Byron says, who's seen Electric Jesus rocket? Did they hid the takeoff, blocked the Dragon landing on the drone ship mouse on tinfoil, mock up my toy space cruiser, all a bit fake for me, no sign of it near the moon. It wasn't going to the moon. But I don't think that was a thing. Somehow I think that was real. John, me and my bro had an emergency, got pulled by a Garda for speed in a 525i good car, and kindly asked to calm it down and carried on speeding. Garda were lazy when English plates are involved. That's because it's a cross-border thing that has to be done. It's very difficult for Garda to be able to trace license plates across borders when they don't cooperate. So that's why they tend to be a little bit like, just sort it out amongst yourselves, calm it down there, no boys. But then, I've had situations where and seen situations where people have told me that guards have pulled them over and go, oh sure, I know your mother or whatever. John, away you go. That's Ireland. That's everybody in Ireland knows everybody else. That's kind of the way it is and has been here since forever. Adrian MG53, yes Bob, the 1.4 TFSI gave me 50 plus mpg in my A3. I have a 1.5 TFSI in my Q3 and struggle to get 42 miles per gallon on the same 200 mile run. You see, 1.4 TFSI was gorgeous. That's where they developed the cylinder shutdown. So the cylinders very clever actually. The 4 cylinders of the engine, 4 pistons going up and down, 2 at a time. So 2 going up, 2 going down, 2 go up, 2 go down. That's how the cylinders work. What Audi did, Volkswagen Group did, was when the car is coasting or when it's not accelerating up a hill, they stop submitting fuel to 2 of the cylinders. Cylinders that continue to go up and down, that's okay, but there was no fuel going in. So you're technically burning half the fuel. You weren't really, but technically burning half the fuel. It was very clever. And then they changed the 1.5 TSI, tried to do the same thing, got kangarooing effect out of it. That's essentially what happened there, but it seems to be all sorted out now. John says, no, we let your reviews as well. I noticed that. There's quite a few extra hits on those reviews at the moment, actually. Like the one I thought wasn't going to do so well was a CHR. Was CHR? Toyota CHR. Yeah, that sounds right. The CHR one I thought was going to do a little bit low end because it's a refresh. It wasn't a new car. And yet, I think it's 10,000 people have watched it now. Checking Twitter there, make sure I didn't miss anything. Checking Instagram, make sure I don't miss anybody. So many different ways. That's why I don't do Facebook all that much, by the way. That's why I've taken a Guinness. Because it's such a time suction hole. Facebook messages, just so many of them. So it's very hard to keep up with. So I've tried to go all in on YouTube and Twitter. Ocean Froggy, agree. Favourite changing size of the roads, cheaper cars and safer driving overseas. Had to laugh at your natural selection comment. H&S would prevent any government of any shade and political risk. I know, but you would have a couple of crashes. But essentially, with enough warning and enough training, it surely is achievable over a weekend. Surely anyone would figure it out. We've done everything. We've done every kind of other stuff we could possibly do. So I can't see why we couldn't figure that one out as changing size of the road. So the whole of Europe could drive on the good side of the road. And I find when I go overseas and I drive these press cars, that often I'm actually more comfortable on the left-hand side of the car. The way the shape of it is, the way the pedal box is laid out, the way the steering wheel is laid out, it actually feels more comfortable. It's like the car is built for the left and then at the last minute they shift it over to the right-hand side. When is the Hyundai i20N coming to Ireland, says Mart Lee? We've had one, the new one. There's a new one coming whenever Hyundai get around to it, I suppose. But we had the first one came out. It was quite good. It was as good as a GTI Golf, nearly, but it didn't quite. In my opinion, the GTI Golf is better, but it might be better this time around. Hyundai Koreans tend to go, oh yeah, look what that guy's saying. Let's just make that small adjustment, and they actually listen and go for it, and they get that kind of consensus done very well. They do it very well. Martio says, only drove on the wrong side of the road once. I quite liked it. I was worried that a 30 plus year olds of driving here would completely freak me out. Couldn't drive the bus on the left though. I don't even notice it. I go to Germany or France or Spain or whatever, and I get out and I walk in and just get in the car and drive off. I don't even think about what side of the road. The only time where it really plays in your mind for a minute is when you come to a T-junction and you're looking at the two lanes opposite. There's no cars coming at you, and you're going, do I go all the way over and up that side, or do I turn into this side here near me? It's just that moment where you're going, which one? I have to go all the way over and go around the way, and then you take off. Or on roundabouts, where you're coming up to the roundabout and you're going, do you go around that way or do you go around that way? So there is a couple of times. Jerry Wickler says SpaceX has been successfully docked and waiting to open the doors of 1554. Congratulations to boys in space. Don't get blown into the dark side. Johnny Dub says, hope, not a hope that SIMI would allow changing sides. It would be crash current, right-hand drive sales and second-hand market again. Exports would soar though. Yeah, it's gas, isn't it, Jim? Your camera keeps going in and out of focus when you move back and forward. It's trying to focus on your face. It does a little bit of hunting. I could set manual focus, but then it would stop focusing. Obviously, when I move around, it would just stop focusing entirely. So I'll go through that setting and see if I can make that freeze at this point of focus rather than trying to hunt, because what it does is probably looking at faces in the background. I might detect some of those posters as faces, and I was trying to do that. Onion Animated has come in saying, hola Onion Animated, thank you very much for dropping in. Eric Washer says, Facebook is a complete rabbit hole apart from the Sunday service page. Of course, life is too short. You're dead right. See, everybody knows everything. Ladies and gentlemen, we have made it to the 4 p.m. mark with 3,500 of you watching. It's amazing. It's absolutely humbling to get this far and this long into the Sunday service and realise that we have made it again. And still, right now, this very second, there's 268 of you watching. It's a brilliant, brilliant thing. I love it to bits. Coming up over the next couple of weeks, I still have the Passat, believe it or not, so I'm going to make another video of that over this coming week. Also, the Tesla documentary will be finished this week. I was waiting on a few other bits and pieces and some reshoots, things I wasn't really happy with on that, so that will be coming out this week for sure. I'm going to work on the Twitch thing. I'm not looking for your audience to come over there. It's just a place I want to play games and mess about and see what happens. So I'll let you know. I'll give you a link to the Twitch channel that I finally set up on and see if it's there. If you want to join in and watch me playing video games, I don't know if anyone's interested in that. Nothing to do with cars, possibly, or maybe I'll put on something else that'd be interesting, to be honest. Great to see all your faces back here again. I will be back again, of course, next Sunday on the Sunday Service one, and that is the day before we move to another stage of lockdown. So we're moving to 20-kilometer range, and I think you can do other stuff as well in this next part. So hopefully that will all work out nicely for everybody. It's been a joy, as always, to have you all here every single week. If you can, submit on Facebook, on Instagram, or somewhere if you want to be included in the next Zoom chat and you're a supporter on Super Chat, Patreon, the forthcoming channel memberships, or on PayPal. If you've done something like that, get in touch with me. I cannot manage everybody's email address. So if you send me an email, put it in PayPal, put something in the top PayPal, or put Patreon on the top, Zoom chat, and I will definitely get in touch with you whenever I can. You'll be on the next Zoom call that I have. Thank you very much for watching. And until the next time, I will see you on the far side.